One mind, one spirit, no limit.
I see more and more men are becoming too imbalanced and leaning too damn far to their emotional side. We've been down for a long time, had a small disagreement, and now you burning bridges cause of pride. Anywhere you go, that stigma gonna follow you. These are character flaws and attributes you can't hide. Mark the one that's always starting problems with people. They really evil, they just came to deceive you into divide. Try to stay away from the problems, staying clear of the demons and the goblins. Need a purge to get rid of all of the toxins. Can't poison a movement, it's not an option. In a cut, and I watch like an owl. Seen one man tongue split two ways, wow. Messing with your faith, I'm throwing in the towel. Snake on a prowl and that venom too foul. Mothers gave birth to a generation of liars. They shun you if you good, but if you evil, they admire. To see a righteous man fall down what they desire. Running with the lies, evil people don't inquire. God told us we gotta go through the fire. I take the load today, if tomorrow it make me higher. This can never stop, no matter what they try to do. Satan's servants can never prevail, we don't retire. Sensationalism, look how it sell. How come when you was here, you ain't never say how you felt? Expressing your feelings on comment boards, I guess it gave you testicular fortitude. I don't hate you, I wish you well. I could never be sure till I'm sure. Problems make you better, what you think we here for? We build bonds, then you throw it out the door. It's a cold game, but I gotta endure. One of the hardest things to see, when you confiding in somebody, then they stab you in your back. How do you react when they've been plotting all this time and you finally see the trap? Life teach valuable lessons, that's how you grow. God can't use the ignorant man, you gotta know. Going through the trials ain't never something sweet. To be a better man, sometimes you gotta take the load. I hear both sides, then I judge. You run in with one side, you can't judge. Don't gossip about me, then show me love. I don't trim my waist to seek love. Yeah, I'm loyal to the king, and I'm loyal to the people. Yeah, it goes both ways. We got a lot of ground to cover. Whosoever wanna play, better move up out the way. I stay strong in the face of adversities, even when my friends become adversaries. So all the slander they be saying and the secrets they been ran is hurting you, it ain't hurting me. Must be out of your mind. Days running shorter, we ain't got a lot of time. If we got problems, we settling that in person. Private altercation shouldn't be posted online. Real love, not fake love. You say you down, show me what you made of. Real love, yeah. If we got beef, then we squash it and it's still love. Real love, not fake love. You say you down, show me what you made of. Real love, yeah. If we got beef, then we squash it and it's still love. Yeah, I never back, no retreat. Nah, always surviving the heat. Yeah, you shoot me down in the street. Hold up, I came with many, we deep. Yeah, 144 deep. Man, I done came with a fleet. Got all my brothers with me. Yeah, I know you smelling defeat. I know you smelling defeat. You gon' be kissing my feet. Yeah, all of my brothers gon' eat. All of my brothers elite. Yeah, I be facing the east. Wisdom and knowledge increase. Yeah, you got a minute and seconds. God is releasing the beast. Yeah, your time is up on a lease. I just pull up for the rent. Give me that. Don't be expecting no grace. Nah, you get no chance to repent. Yeah, my haters looking so bent. They see me flexing my strength. We came from nothing to something. Now I'm 100%. Yeah, profits you cannot prevent. Nah, they making many attempts. Nah, we gon' leave more than a dent. You do not know the extent. You are just not in my league. I don't care what you believe. Nah, don't let the devil deceive. Yeah, me winning is what I perceive. Yeah, victory, I do my dance. Enemies don't get a chance. Superior, I'm too advanced. I'm way up, you looking like ants. Failure is not in my plans. Enemies don't get a chance. Superior, I'm too advanced. Yeah, I'm way up, you looking like ants. I know you smelling defeat. You gon' be kissing my feet. All of my brothers gon' eat. All of my 12. I know you smelling defeat. You gon' be kissing my feet. Right. All of my brothers gon' eat. All of my brothers gon' eat.
Right. Not bombs, not swords, not might, not force. This fight, not mine, not yours. My lord, 5 finna work like July 4th. I'ma have lockjaw when it pop up. Wisdom of Solomon 5-1, like that's what. I thought we getting down to the wire, this a nail biter. I'm a Harlem hellfighter, dipped in hellfire. Touch my mind, knowing it to the time pointed. And even then, do it gently or it's my condolence. My slave owners went from 5A to Gamma to the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner. And made statues stand tall like they all royal. All I'm seeing is a charbroiled gargoyle. How y'all got the art of war and it's all for nothing. The national anthem sound like a toilet flushing. And my enemy blood gushing from bone rushing. French kids kick a death, Tim's tongue touching. In World War III, that's another joke. Seen the king decked in green, dipped in thunderbolts. With the words of the law that the brother spoke, wasn't nothing left there but a puff of smoke.
I know you smelling defeat. You gon' be kissing my feet. All of my brothers gon' eat. All of my 12. I know you smelling defeat. You gon' be kissing my feet. All of my brothers gon' eat. All of my brothers gon' eat. What you really know about me? Dissing on my people and expect me to agree. Flip the script on you and now you wanna plead. I'ma show you power, I'ma show you who I be. Like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. Feeling like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. 180 degrees. Turn the tables on him, now he begging please. Sorry, ain't gonna do you much help. I got a whole lot of anger to appease. Now you on your knees. You was calling shots, making decrees. Murder my people. Squeeze. Thought I had your back. You ain't even know how to act. Tell them get ready for me. Cause I'm coming with the force and I'm strapped. What you really know about me? Dissing on my people and expect me to agree. Flip the script on you and now you wanna plead. I'ma show you power, I'ma show you who I be. Like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. Feeling like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. All power, that's a fact. Rockin' all white, but I'm black. You see fire when I'm rolling in the wheels. Time's up when you see the sky crack. You don't know much about me. I made it all, everything you can see. I'm never one to play around. When I touch down, I'ma show you what it be. As far as I can see, there's nobody around that you can compare to me. As far as I can see, I don't see nobody that you can compare to me. What you really know about me? Dissing on my people and expect me to agree. Flip the script on you and now you wanna plead. I'ma show you power, I'ma show you who I be. Like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. Feeling like a yeah, I'm the man. A level you can never understand. Ain't this move at my command. I got the whole damn world in my hand. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Pedal to the mat, wanna thank God cause he always got my back. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Pedal to the mat, wanna thank God cause he always got my back. Sitting in a circle and I'm steady whipping. Profits coming back, but this the new edition. I've been on the road and I've been on a mission. They told me I should change, but I'm never switching. After all the hate and all the evil wishing. Hate internal blessings, I'm alive and kicking. Hate is motivation, you've been so uplifting. Loyal to the faith, I see the time is ticking. Rolling with creator, you can never stop me. The word is in my soul, that's what I embody. No weapon formed against me when I get my body. If you ain't heard about it, then go ask somebody. I've been on the roll and I don't plan on stopping. faithful to the Lord and ain't no other option. Many speculations, all them haters watching. Purple rain is coming, you can never stop them. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. Got my back. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. Coming for the crown. Purple rain everywhere, coming to your town. See your town? Came to shut it down. Yeah. Steady on the move, I ain't never slowing down. Slowing down. Yeah, we on the map. Gone for a while, then we brought it right back. Ain't no we strapped. 144, man, I'm rolling with the pack. We too ill. Don't spare feelings, I don't care about how you feel. How you feel? I'ma keep it real. Shout out to the brothers with the fire and the zeal. They got the zeal. They told me I should chill, but I owe God and I gotta pay the bill. Praying that I'm still be about my nation, man, I just wanna build. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. Got my back. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. Sinners getting lost. I just got a message from the boss. I'm the one they really shouldn't cross. Nah. If you violate, you gotta pay the cost. You know this and that's why I made you poor. Some of y'all just hate me to the core. I judge you, but you keep asking for more. So when you call on me, I just ignore. I know you better than you know yourself. I made you in my image, no one else. I gave you all the riches, all the wealth. But you turn away and start feeling yourself. Damn, all the mercy that I showed you. Man, I'm done with talking, know exactly what to do. Yeah, I'ma bring the fire, I'ma make you feel it too. Deliver all the righteous, yeah, they always stay true. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. I ain't going back, feeling too good in the place where I'm at. Where I'm at, pedal to the mat. Wanna thank God, cause he always got my back. We was on the bottom, yeah. Now we headed to the top. New level. On my level, don't see anybody. I don't see them. This right here could never stop. This could never stop. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. One time, hey. I live on a job, right? Yeah, I'm always at work, right? Real people stay by me, right? Haters wanna do hurt, right? Know they tryna stop me, right? Drag my name through dirt, right? I don't feed into the hate, right? I just answer with a smirk, facts. I feel so special, facts. I know my worth, facts. My bloodline royal, facts. We the kings of the earth, right? You can't stop this, nah. You can't stop this, no way. Yo, boy, where I try, don't test. Damn thing that not work. Visionary, I see it, right? We the realest man, we the chosen man. Sorry, you can't be it, right? Reigning over you, ride the Iron Man. Violators gon' get it, right? I'm the ruling class, you in servitude. That's the way God did it, facts. Can't tame my spirit, no way. Praises to the sky, I put my faith in God, yeah, and the Most High, yeah. When the haters talk, man, I do not reply. No, they wanna see you fall, man, wanna see you die. One time. We was on the bottom, yeah. Now we headed to the top, new level. On my level, don't see anybody. I don't see him. This right here could never stop. This could never stop. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. One time, hey.
We the prisoners of hope.
Right.
Hardly recognized, badly advertised, police knocking at the door. I don't even have a clue when it's ever gonna end. I ain't even gonna pretend.
Right.
Everybody ain't your friend.
Right.
They don't wanna see you win.
Right.
They the dust on the counter.
Right.
They the dust on your shirt.
Right.
They the dust in the balance.
Right.
We the salt of the earth.
Right.
So much flavor that it hurt.
Right.
Yeah, they know that what we worth.
Right.
So they lie to us about our history. So they lie to us to church. Precept.
One time.
Wash them down with the scram.
One time.
Wash them down round the end.
One time.
Wash them down to a dram.
One time.
Precept.
One time.
Wash them down with the scram.
One time.
Wash them down to the head.
One time.
Wash them down to a
We
dram.
was on the bottom, yeah. Now we headed to the top, new level. On my level, don't see anybody. I don't see him. This right here could never stop. This could never stop. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. Hey, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah. One time. Hey.
All praises. You gotta bring out the one.
You substituted for it.
All praises. 6 o'clock Sunday. 6 p.m. Sunday.
Man.
Welcome to the Lionz Den Radio Show.
Welcome, family. Welcome, family. Shalom.
We're back.
We are back.
Got some visual. We got a delay here. Let me see. Here we go. Let me see. Wait till everything pop up. We're gonna refresh on this side. Make sure we got volume and visual.
Yeah, we got come on, cameraman.
Okay, there we go.
Right.
There we
All
go.
right.
So, want to make sure we can hear and see. So, for those of you that are on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook, can you type Y if you can both hear and see, and we'll get straight into it. Type Y if you can both hear and see.
Here we go. All right. I think we're good. The comments enabled. Soldier. The comments enabled. All right. You tuned in to the Lionz Den Radio Show.
See if we get
6 p.m. Sunday.
Okay, there's some stuff popping up there.
Okay.
We still got that comment section. What is it? Pause or something like there. Okay. How is Facebook?
Engineers, sound engineers. We good?
We're good to
We
go.
good?
Periscope good.
Okay.
What about Facebook? Facebook good to go. YouTube.
All right. We good.
All right. Okay.
All praises.
All right, family. So welcome back to the Lionz Den Radio Show. It's Sunday, 6 p.m. Right? And here at the Lionz Den Radio Show, we do not ignore evil.
We seek to expose it.
And the evil that's going on today. Well, I shouldn't say it's so much evil this time.
Yeah.
But our people are starting to wake up, which is a good thing. The evil is we still don't want to acknowledge who we are.
And so for the most part of some of it is ignorance. For those of you who don't know what ignorant mean, it's not something you say to destroy someone. The actual definition of ignorance is to not know. So a lot of it, I think people are ignorant to the fact that we are Israel, and they just say ignorant things. We're gonna watch a whole bunch of ignorance today, with the summit and revolt.
Right.
I did it again. Did I put the cart before the horse?
Well, that's one of the videos. That's one of the videos.
Okay.
We got a couple of videos. Now, it's going to be a little different today. I know our usual viewers accustomed to seeing a multitude of videos.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it a little different today. We only got a couple of videos, but we're going to go in and break down these videos.
Yeah. It's a discussion.
Right.
It's a discussion. And, we're somewhat so-called black, or what they say, black people. We're so-called black people. We're black men. We understand the issues we have.
Right.
So hearing it, we're able to discuss it. We're able to talk about it. They gave their side or their hip-hop point of view on it. So we're going to give our side on what we see. And the things that we're going to discuss in this video is what they're talking about. Does it actually work, or does it sound good to the public eye? Because the trend today is being woke. We spoke about this a while back.
Right.
The trend today is being woke. Speaking about how woke you are is a trend. Believe it or not, I don't know how in 2019, being woke about something is wrong with the earth and something is wrong with how they're treating our people, that has now become a fashion. That shows you how far in time we are in the last days, where oppression can become a fashion. To when somebody talks about oppression, it's like, man, you on that stuff too? Like, man, I was just talking about this with my partners. Like, yeah, there's stuff going on. And it's like it's become a fashion other than just something that is done with real intent behind it, real solutions. You understand? So it's a problem. So we're here to talk about it.
And one of the things that we have to do is take it past just a conversation and get true knowledge and wisdom so that we can apply solutions. Our people are always talking about a conversation, but then there's no application because, first of all, we still lack unity. These things are going to be brought out during the show. As Captain said, there's a whole lot of ignorance. Okay, and we're going to do our best to correct that within the time that we have today. So the name of the show is We Need a Name.
We need a name.
We need a name. We see something's wrong, like you alluded to. We know something's wrong, but and we can attach all of these different forms of oppression to our people, but then still, when you ask our people, who are we? We are not united on who we really are.
Right. True enough.
So, anyway, without any further ado, Cap, introduce yourself.
I'm Captain Kabosh.
Officer Kim Uwell.
Officer Natalia. Officer Tobias.
Whoever want to go.
Officer Daniel.
Officer Yahaziel.
Praises.
And we are the Lionz Den Radio Show. Before we get started, remember, we do have a phone number. That phone number is 407-545-4624. That's 407-545-4624. Call in. Give us your comments, or ask your questions. Share your experiences that you've had as it relates to the topic. Okay. We also have a website, LionzDenRadioshow.com. Lions with a Z. Okay, radioshow.com. So, as we normally do at this time, let's start off with some current events.
Let's do it.
All right. Officer Daniel, you gonna help us out with these current events, bro?
Yes, sir. This is Justin Trudeau admits to also wearing blackface makeup in high school following Time report.
Okay, so who is this guy?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Who is Justin? Who is this man?
Oh, hell no! I think we gotta scroll down and find out.
Roy,
And let's zoom in a little bit so everybody can read it. And then we'll get a little bit more understanding of who this person is. It says Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau apologized Wednesday night for wearing brownface at a 2001 Arabian Nights theme party, less than 2 hours after Time published a previously unreported yearbook photo from the event, the private school where he was teaching. Okay, so brownface. Can anybody tell me what brownface is?
Sound like the face people make when they be mad at you.
There's another link that I just sent because I want people to see the what they're talking about.
So they published it and it was unreported yearbook photo. That photo, I'm assuming, was him in blackface. Right.
They say, but they call it brownface. That's what they're calling it, brownface. And I want to show why. This is a reason why they're trying to put brownface. Did you pull up that article?
Well, I'm saying
it's on the research.
He admitted to it after he got caught. They published it and he said, you know what? I'm gonna speak about it since I'm already put on the spot about it. Is this what we were seeing? It looks like that's what
right. So it's been exposed that he did this in his younger years, but I just want to be able to pull up and show what he did. Let's see what he did. You can pull that down. Is that you got that live? Okay. So you can see this is what they considered brownface. This is what they consider brownface. But as we know, Esau usually practices brownface.
Yeah.
Right? And they cover it as a technique or a how you say it? A tradition. Mm-hmm. They call it tanning. That's traditional brownface. So as you can see, let's go to the article. I just want to read a little bit because it's really not brownface. It's actually blackface.
That's what it looked like.
It's blackface, but what they're trying to do is hide who he's trying to represent.
Right. Hey, before you read that. It says recently surfaced photos of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in brownface while at an Arabian Nights party, right?
Right.
Arabs.
Right.
Ishmael.
Right.
Whose mother was what? An Egyptian.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so he knows, right? They know, right, that these are very dark-skinned people. I'm only throwing that out there for future reference. All right, go ahead.
Just want to, if somebody just read down a little bit from recently surfaced photos.
It says, recently surfaced photos of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in brownface while at an Arabian Nights party in 2001 are disturbing on a number of levels. First, if you will all allow me to point out the obvious, Trudeau is the only person in makeup.
You see that? If it's an Arabian Night theme party, but he's the only one wearing makeup. This dark colored makeup. Go ahead.
The other partygoers who are pictured are barely costumed. Yet Trudeau looks like he just walked out of an old Tintin comic book as a stereotypical Arab villain.
Wait a minute. Stereotypical
Right.
Arab villain. So he got to be extra dark, right?
I would think nobody know what Tintin is. You got to take it back. Scroll down. There you go. It says it doesn't end there. The makeup that Trudeau is wearing in the photos is not limited to his face, but is liberally applied across his breastbone and completely covers his hands. Imagine how much thought and action and makeup must have gone into planning and painting young Justin Trudeau brown. Third, Justin Trudeau. That's right. Third, Justin Trudeau wasn't young. He was 29 years old at the time of this party.
So this wasn't a high school party like they said. Oh, maybe it was a high school party, but he was just, hanging out. Go ahead.
Them guys in that photo from high school?
Oh, Lord. Hey, Cap, I seen some dudes with fuller beards than mines in junior high school.
Go back up real quick.
I'm just saying. It's the GMOs.
They don't look like they're high school, especially that guy right there in them glasses. He ain't from
The other dude looked like a fake beard.
Oh, but I remember they said that's where he was teaching. That's where he was teaching.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where he's teaching.
He was teaching other people to be brown-faced. Okay. Could scroll back down. Let's read some more about the white man trying to be brown. Third, Justin Trudeau wasn't young. He was 29 years old at the time of this party. Like the rest of us, mortal. What does that say? Mortals? Wow. His image in the U.S. notwithstanding, Trudeau is bound to the rules of space and time, which means that when this party was thrown, Trudeau was not acting in some minstrel show in the American South in 1901.
Wait a minute. So he's talking about in the American South in 1901. What time does that sound like? Sounds like the Jim Crow area. So what he's imitating is something that happened during the time where racism was rampant.
Damn, they trying to say the thing is out of context now? That's crazy.
But they're covering it and showing you that it's not blackface. It's only brownface. So it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's brownface.
Bring it out.
But I just want to pull up one picture that goes along with this. Can you pull up that picture on the research group? Yeah.
I mean, you know what it's showing you, right? They want to be us.
Right.
They want to be us.
Now, what's that say? On the top. Actually, let me see on the bottom there.
The Moors.
The Moors.
Look at this. Look at this.
I want to show you that it says this is an image of the Moors with a very dark skin complexion with a wrap on his head.
Yep, got a turban.
Now, does that look like the image that he was brown facing on the screen that we saw earlier?
Oh, hell no.
So it's clear that they're trying to hide the identity of the people that were ruling in Europe, right? Because the people that were ruling in Europe were black people.
Let's go back to the image.
Bring it out.
So we can show the comparison to it. We see that one, the black Moor, right? See the image that.
There you go.
Looks very similar.
Can you see that? And look, you have other people there participating in the same thing. And how come they don't look anything like that?
Right.
The people who he's supposed to participate with or make fun of.
Right.
He looks nothing like them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he black facing. They call him the brown face.
Yeah, he's brown face.
He's brown facing.
That's like when we go teach. There's no such thing as black. You're not black.
Right.
You're brown unto the ground.
Well, it's not racist.
You're a white
brown
man.
face.
All right, now we know he's a white man.
So this is what I find interesting about this is that we see how dark he made himself on the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know Ishmael is considered to be Middle Eastern, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet when we bring out the color of Christ, somehow he doesn't look like that.
Right.
He's olive colored.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Not a black olive neither.
Oh man. Okay.
All right, that's it on that.
All right. Let's get on past this one.
Yeah. So basically, the depictions to try to demean us or people of color, it continues to go on.
Yeah.
That's all that we're bringing out here is that that's part of that him speaking proudly of oppression also.
Nothing has changed. And this is what our people are waking up to.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has changed, and our people are starting to enlighten themselves about themselves. But they're not getting to the point where they understand that they are the Israelites, but they're coming to the point to realize that, you know what? We are somebody. For them to keep doing this to us,
Right.
we got to be somebody important in history, and our history don't stop at slavery. That's what the common conversation is. And I think the flood is also out there too when Revelation speaks about the flood. Can we get that real quick? And Revelations?
Bring it out.
Let's get that. Revelations 12. Let's get Revelations 12 and 15.
I got you. The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 15.
Now, for those of you that have never read Revelations 12, this speaks of a parable or an analogy with a dragon. Not a real dragon, but a nation. Speaking of the Caucasian or European race, them referred to as the dragon. The woman is referred to as Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, so-called blacks and Hispanics and native Indians scattered throughout the earth. So that is the Israelites, that woman. Okay, and it says this dragon was wroth with the woman. So now we're reading verse 15.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 15.
And part of that dragon being wroth with that woman is what happened to us in 7 AD and also throughout history. How we were the common two enemies with each other, Esau and Jacob. It continued. Even unto this day. This is who the battle is with. Read.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
It says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth, this is what he spoke, water as it was as a flood. Read.
After the woman.
After the woman again representing Israel. Read.
That he might cause her to be carried away.
That he might cause her to be carried away. Real quick, let's get that precept in Hebrews. To be carried away with what? It's not talking about picking up the woman with a water wave and carrying her away. It's speaking of philosophy. Let's get that in Hebrews. Where is that? Ephesians 14. 4:14. Let's get that real quick. Ephesians 4:14.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
That we henceforth be no more children.
Start at verse let's get verse 11.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11.
Read.
And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints.
The saints, again, going back to the Israelites. He gave some, that's who the Most High gave. The Most High. He gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors, some teachers for the what?
For the perfecting of the saints.
And what is perfection? Understanding that what? Verse 4, that there is one body, one spirit, even as you are called, and one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. So the purpose of these teachers, these prophets, and these evangelists, and these pastors is to bring us into one understanding. This is what that dragon was against. Read.
For the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ.
For the edifying of the body of Christ.
Till we all come into the unity of the faith.
Till we all come to one understanding that the Most High God is our Savior and none else. Till we all come in the unity of that. Read.
And of the knowledge of the Son of God. Unto a perfect man.
And to a perfect man or a perfect nation. Read.
Unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ.
Read.
That we henceforth be no more children.
So we wouldn't be scattered anymore. That we won't be lost and confounded, scattered in different faiths, under different lords, under different baptisms, under different callings, under different hopes, and in a different spirit. Read.
Tossed to and fro.
Tossed to and fro. Read.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
Read.
By the sleight of men.
By the sleight of men, not a serpent. It's saying the same thing, by the sleight of men, because that serpent was referred to as a man when you understand the prophecy. Read.
And cunning craftiness.
This is why now when you see in this great awakening, you'll see things on TV about a documentary talking about the Israel, the 12 tribes lost and found, and they'll point you to somewhere in Australia or the Philippines and China, talking about these are the lost sheep of Israel, because we're waking up, telling our people that they are the Israelites. So they cast out the flood and say, you know what? Let's talk about the Israelites. They're not the blacks, they're not the Hispanics, but they're scattered in the Philippines. They're scattered in China. They're scattered throughout Australia. They're scattered throughout Europe. So they'll point us in every other direction. Read.
And cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
So let's go back to Revelations 12 and let's read that again, verse 15.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away.
So he might cause this woman to be carried away from that one faith. Read.
Of the flood. And the earth helped the woman.
But what the change was is that the earth helped the woman. In Psalms 85, verse 11, it tells you truth came out of the earth. Read.
And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
And that's an example of what you're seeing today. Us choosing to not ignore evil, but seeking to expose it. Us going out to the highways and the byways, and we discussing these issues. We discussing these things, bringing our people back to everything that we read back in Ephesians. But here's the flood, going back to what's happening now, what you're going to see. We got another video that's coming up where now you have people that don't even believe slavery exists.
Right.
Because things that they learned in school, that we was already over here. There ain't no slaves. We wasn't brought over here. White people didn't bring us. To say that they brought us is saying that they have an advantage over us and they brought us over here and now we live, we live in these conditions based off what they decided for us. So now people are teaching against the history, which again, if you deny that history, you cannot relate to the people that's in this book. And therefore you can be continually lost. And they know what happened to you. But again, that's those floods. We're going to talk about it in a few.
All right. So now let's go to another story. This story, I don't know what to say. I do want to read a scripture to kind of lead into this story. If you could get Luke chapter 18, 7 and 8. 8 is the point I want. But you have 50 teenagers stood by watching and recording on their cell phones as a boy lay dying after a brawl. Okay.
Say what?
This is how we have fallen as a people. All right. So, who's reading from?
The book of Luke, chapter 18 and verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes,
so when Christ returns,
shall he find faith on the earth?
Shall he find faith on earth? When you read stories like this, even those that are longing for the return of Christ, these are the kind of stories that can make you lose hope if your faith is weak, because you see just our people are destroyed people, which is one of the reasons why it's so important that we understand who we are. And when we titled this, we need a name, because we need to unify. We need to come back together on the understanding of God's commandments, because when we don't, this is how the earth is growing weaker and weaker, and these are the things that we're going to continue to see happen.
And for the Most High to send His Son to be on earth and pose a question like this shows you how much more evil this world is going to get.
Right.
For Him to say, when the Son of Man cometh, shall He find people that even believe on earth?
Right.
It's going to get that bad, and we see an example of it. And this is just the peak of this stuff that's going to happen.
Right.
It says back up in verse 17 to 6, it says, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. You're talking about a time where he gave an example of 8 people surviving.
Right.
That's how many people were destroyed. And he come back and question, is anybody going to be in the faith when I return? That's why I got to hasten the days. A lot of you don't realize you live in prophecy whether or not you believe it. You know time is short. You know that your days are passing faster than you ever imagined. That's why I say, man, time's speeding up. It's like the day over quick. What you're acknowledging is the Bible without actually reading it. Time is short and the evil is increasing. That's Bible prophecy. This right here is pitiful.
Okay, let's read this story.
It says 50 teenagers stood by watching and recording on their phones as a boy lay dying after a brawl.
Scroll down.
4 days ago.
It says dozens of teenagers stood by and watched as 16-year-old boy lay dying from a stab wound. Long Island authorities said Tuesday Cassine Morris died in a hospital after the brawl, and the Nassau County Police Department is warning teenagers who recorded the incident to come forward immediately and help identify suspects.
Let's get to read more.
Blow it up a little bigger. It says, While a 16-year-old Long Island student lay dying of a stab wound to the chest on Monday, about 50 other teenagers stood by and watched the boy bleed out.
You see that? 50. None of them thought to help this boy. Go ahead.
Nobody, they got a phone, right? It's called 911.
Right. Yeah, no, it's called World Star. Go ahead.
So it says, some recording his slow death on their phones, the police said. The victim, Cassine Morris, died.
Hold on. It says they were recording a slow death. This shows you how desensitized that we've become from death. Just like when we've done shows before, like the games, the video games, what we see on TV, the movies, we have become desensitized or detached that, you know, once you die, you're done. You're gone.
You know what's another crazy thing about that? Death is actually a reminder when you actually look at it. Death is something that was, again, when you look at and you understand the Bible, it says that death was actually a curse.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you see somebody dying, especially this boy was 15, 16 years old, that right there should make you reflect. Like, man, judgment, God.
Right.
Bring it out.
Right.
Death, funeral, God, judgment day, answer for sin. Something. To us to see this every day, it desensitizes us to say, you know what? This just happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thinks about God. Nobody thinks about consequence. Nobody thinks about eternal judgment. Nobody thinks about standing before the Father, answering for your sins. Nobody thinks about none of that. That's why I say this stuff is only going to get worse. When you get to stab a 16-year-old boy and then film it, it shows you how worse it's going to get because nobody thinks about God. God is he's absent from the mind.
Right.
You see, death is supposed to be an absolute reminder of, you know what? Most High is sending judgment on this earth. Something is not right. This is crazy. This boy is laying on this ground in his own blood, and they filming. Nobody think about it, calling the police.
Go ahead,
Unbelievable.
It says the victim, Cassine Morris, died in a hospital after the fight outside of a strip mall in Oceanside, New York. It says authorities are urging witnesses and the students who recorded the brawl to come forward and help identify suspects. They videoed his death instead of helping him. Detective, Lieutenant Stephen Fitzpatrick of the Nassau County Police Department told reporters at a press conference Tuesday, adding, "This can't go on. Your friends are dying while you stand there and video it. That's outrageous." It says Fitzpatrick addressed the students who posted the videos on social media, asking them to come forward.
You see that? Sharing it on social media. Nobody thought to try to get some help or break up the fight before he got stabbed, or any of that. World Star, Facebook, Twitter. Go ahead.
It says Fitzpatrick addressed the students who posted the videos on social media, asking them to come forward immediately and share any information they have. He's quoted, "There's got to be about 50, 60, 70 kids here," he said. "We have a handful of kids that have come forward and have identified subjects involved in this. There is definitely more."
Okay, so I just want to show you, again, we have to come together on God's laws, right? Which is not being taught to our people. Most of us we're not raised with God's laws in our house being applied.
Look at this.
We definitely didn't receive it in the churches, in the school system. So we're going to read it to you. We're going to read one of God's laws concerning them reaching out saying, if you know what's going on, you need to report it. So let's get that in Leviticus 5.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 5, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
"And if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness."
And is a what?
And is a witness.
Uh-huh.
"Whether he had seen."
Now we know they saw it because they recorded it. Go ahead.
"Or known of it.
Uh-huh.
If he do not utter it."
So if he don't come forward and be a witness to the crime, go ahead.
"Then he shall bear his iniquity.
So that same iniquity is going to be upon you. You're going to carry that sin. So for the parents of these children, if your child suffers a horrific death, don't be mad at God. You know, don't be on the news talking about, I don't know why this happened to my baby. He's such a good boy. She a good girl. Because you know that's what our people do. We always want to ignore the sins of our children. We don't want to correct our children.
I just wanted to say something too. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and we can start at verse 1 to 3.
Bring it out.
Because this is how we know we're living in the last days. Like Cap mentioned earlier, times are getting worse and worse. All right, as the time progresses, things are gonna increase as far as the wickedness of our people. We see that on a day-to-day basis. All right.
Real quick, just to add to that, this is the second time we reported something. Like, remember the last show the couple shows we did?
Yes, sir.
This happened in Daytona, Florida.
Right.
There was a man that was drowning, and they filmed him and watched him die.
Right.
This is not the first time.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it's crazy too, because on the news you're seeing more and more reports of people killing their family members, sisters trying to drown, suffocate their children. It's like it's becoming common now to the point where it's normal. It's crazy, man. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1, please.
The book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
So it says, in the last days there will be perilous times, dangerous times shall come. All right, go ahead.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy.
Right, and we see a lot of that. We see a lot of that stuff we're going to bring out today, right? But this is the point I want, verse 3.
Without natural affection.
It says without natural affection. Now, I just want to expound on that affection part. Affection, it says a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. Number 2 says the act or process of affecting or being affected. So it shows that nobody has natural affection. Nobody was affected by seeing this young man bleed to death, bleed a slow death. They all decided to record it. That means that they themselves had to watch this young man die.
Right.
16-year-old, 50 people. So it's showing you right here that our people don't even have natural affection. We don't see each other as brothers and sisters, man. We just, that's just another nigga gone. Another one bites the dust. You see what I mean? Crazy, man.
I'm glad you said that about affection, because when I looked into it, you know what started all of that? The guy that threatened him was mad because his so-called ex-girlfriend, it was over a girl.
Right.
The boy that got stabbed supposedly didn't care. The girl came up to him, could you walk me home from school? And supposedly, rumor has it, which, you know, we all went to high school, she did it to make him jealous, right?
Right.
And in turn, this is how you know, going back to when we go teach about fathers being in a household, teaching their children, stop being emotional. Stop being emotional. So out of emotions, you responded, and you took his life. Because I watched the video, you took his life over being jealous about a woman. The Bible tells us no girlfriends. It's for that reason. So you talk about without natural affection, right. Because she's not taught correctly, he's not taught correctly. So now you got 2 teenage boys get into a fight. One don't want to fight at all over a girl that wants to be walked home to stay away from another individual, right? Then he gets killed. So now this young man, because you got more than one life that's about to be destroyed. His life is destroyed.
That's right.
Every boy that took part in his life is destroyed, because now you're about to be locked up. You're going to Rikers, and you're not coming out. We just had a documentary dealing with that, with the Central Park 5, right? All their life is about to be destroyed.
The ones that film.
Yes. The ones that filmed, the ones that cohort, the ones that physically did it, your life is destroyed. So you standing over a girl that you ain't never going to see.
Right.
You probably never see the day of life. Over what? Foolishness. And when we go, this is what we go teach it, like you said about, also said about natural affection. That's a parent job to teach those type of things.
Yeah.
That's a man's role in the household, to teach his son what he's supposed to do. And his response was to be emotional, go fight another young man over a woman that clearly doesn't want to have nothing to do with you.
You know, what's so heavy about that is, remember Friday, right? We was out on the flyer mission. How this happens. We talking to a young lady, I guess she was like in her mid to late 20s, right? She has children. And we were going over dress code. And then we were going over the importance, and because of to the point of this story, jealousy.
Yeah.
You know, you got a husband, or she had a fiance.
Bring it out.
I say you got a husband, and we asked the brothers out there, why would a woman wear tight fitting clothes, spandex pants? We all know the answer, right? You know what she said? Well, but it makes me comfortable. So her being comfortable, right, is more important than her people. Her being comfortable is more important than the sins that the men of her nation are going to fall into, lusting after her, and in this case, murder, right? Her comfort was superseded, you know, her nation.
But even with dealing with that, the thing is that what is comforting about it? Like what is comforting about it? Either one, for one, scratch one. It's only one reason.
We got to the bottom of it.
It doesn't make you feel comfortable about as far as you being in them.
Right.
It's either you have no confidence in yourself.
That's what it is.
Or you have low self-esteem to where you feel like this is the only way you have to get a man. It can be the one or two. This is what makes this is what you mean by uncomfortable. This is the only way I can attract people.
Right.
Because of my low self-esteem. And because there's no good man out there, so let me lure and see what I can get out there. Let me just go fishing. Let me just put this on. This is what makes me feel comfortable about myself. I like what I see in the mirror. This is comfortable. Now I can get a man. It ain't about how it makes you feel, because it ain't uncomfortable about that. The yeast infection that you get wearing the pants.
Right.
Ain't nothing comfortable about it.
What's so interesting about what you just said, Cap, because we dealt with it for a while. She said she had been in an abusive relationship, and at this point, she actually had a godly brother that was teaching her the Bible, and she was still in the spandex.
Yep. There's only one reason. I don't know the sister. I ain't saying that she didn't put it out there. These might be some of the reasons, because you do get yeast infection wearing tight pants, because it's not for you to wear. It's not for you to wear something that suffocates your private parts as a woman.
Right.
This is how you get yeast infection.
Right.
And two, you're showing off every shape of your body. So what are you saying that you're comfortable about? How you look and how it attracts people? That's the only thing, because it's not comfortable in you wearing it. That's not what those things were made for. So you feel comfortable in another type of way. You got to be, our sisters got to be men. We got to be honest with, men got to be honest with themselves, and we got to be honest.
That's right.
Stop lying to yourself.
That's right.
I got some officer. Just to go off what Officer Anastasia was saying, I got Matthew 24:12.
All right. Who got that? I'll read it. The book. Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
So iniquity of us, what? The wickedness of us hating our own people? The love of what?
The love of many shall wax cold.
So that means they had nothing but hatred when they seen their brother get murdered and sat there and just watched him die out. None of them had enough love in themselves or intestinal fortitude to stand up and say, this is wrong. We should call the police. We should stop this person. Everybody just stood around because the love of many, love of a lot of those people standing around, they got hatred and nothing but hate in their heart. There's no love. That's why we have to come out and teach our people to come back. How do we love each other? How do we stop hating each other? How do we stop fighting and killing each other? How do we stop seeing this person as our enemy and see these people as our family, as our brother? Right?
Absolutely. This is what we need to be talking about.
Right. Right.
You know, we be talking about what these other people, what would we do ourselves? Sometimes I really do see the argument where y'all kill each other. We do. We need to focus on that. The enemy within. We got a major problems amongst ourselves to be worrying about what somebody else is doing. They gonna continue to doing what they doing to us until we actually fix ourselves.
Right.
Once we understand that we are the children of God and we stop humiliating and dealing with each other like we enemies, and we stop killing one another, this drama that we're going through with these other people, it will always continue that way. We're not even focused on the battle when we're talking about look what these other nations doing, the white man doing. If we keep focusing on that,
Our brothers are still. Ain't no white man selling no dope in Pine Hills
Right.
or in the popcorn in Chicago.
Right.
Ain't white people ain't standing on them corners selling cocaine, selling rocks and all that stuff to our people. These are black men doing that. These are black children playing. I gotta get at my ops. Ain't no white people doing that. Yeah, they provide. In some cases, they provide the guns in these communities, but they already know that we're destroyed mentally, so we gonna use them. That's why we gotta focus on the enemy within. We focus on the wrong things, and that's why we ain't never gonna get nowhere.
And you know, I'm sorry.
I'm go ahead. I'm go ahead.
What you were saying, Cap, is so heavy. I know you was about to go with it. And it brings up the point where we go into, as the show continues on, how important identity is. Because identity, what comes with identity, another, synonym is recognition. And what he did not recognize without his identity was his brother. You understand? That's the importance of identity. Who is this person that's standing next to me? And the reason why, which we'll find out later, the reason why we have a lot of our issues is because we don't identify as anything. And when you identify with anything, you're going to think you're nobody.
I was going to hold this, but I'm going to bring this out, and we're going to get to the next video. But Moses dealt with this, right? The oppression that our people are under, and we turn to each other. We can't take this out on the other nations, so we turn our aggression to each other, right? Get that in the book of Acts, chapter 7, verse 23.
23?
Yeah.
The book of Acts, chapter 7 and verse 23. And when he was full 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed and smote the Egyptian.
So he avenged him that was oppressed. He was oppressed by his enemies. We know that we are oppressed by our enemies, right? So he smote the Egyptian. Go ahead.
For he supposed his brethren.
So now it came into his mind, and he did this. He thought his brethren, go ahead,
would have understood how that God by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not.
Just like we believe that our people will understand how God, by our going out on the corners and bringing forth the gospel to our people and doing shows like this and going to the prison systems and the school systems, that they would understand that the Most High God is going to deliver us. Read on.
And the next day he showed himself unto them as they strove.
As they were fighting. Go ahead.
And would have set them at one again.
Right.
Saying, Sirs, ye are brethren. Why do ye wrong one to another?
Why y'all fighting and killing each other? Remember, Moses grew up in Pharaoh's house. He was far removed from this. Then he came to Pine Hills. And he said, what the hell is going on with y'all? Go ahead.
But he that did his neighbor wrong thrust him away.
You know when it says he thrust him away, a lot of times we don't realize he put hands on Moses. He put hands on Moses trying to, bro, what's wrong with you?
Right.
So he turned his aggression on Moses. Go ahead.
Saying, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us?
Ain't that what we do today? You can't judge me.
Right.
Only God can judge me.
Right.
Who you think you is? Right? Bruh. So it's the same things that are going on today. Moses dealt with the same thing.
Oh, so Moses didn't take out a tablet of stone and record the incident and say World Star.
Right.
And bring it back to the people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's go on to the next let's go and pull that next story. We got another story. There is a phenomenon out here about Esau wanting to put black men and black babies in boy babies in dresses. This is something that was done on the slave plantations to humiliate the black man. We've brought this out before in history where they would take, it's always they take the biggest, strongest of us, right, to humiliate us. And they will put them in dresses. They will make them do female chores on the plantation. That spirit is still in the earth today. And that spirit is destroying a lot of our black youth. We got a story in Texas. No, pull the other one up. The story in Texas about the little boy in the school. You got that one? Yeah, it was right before that. I think it's an article. Yeah, cut his hair. If the boy had long hair, if they didn't cut his hair, they're just gonna make him wear a dress. Yep, there you go. All right, who's reading that?
Says Texas school district gives 4-year-old boy 2 options: either cut your hair or wear a dress.
Oh, hell no.
Hell no, indeed. Scroll it down. Scroll down. All right. It says, I don't condone violence, but if ever there was a story that completely justifies throwing hands, you're about to read it.
Hey, that's that oppression right there.
Yeah.
Put them poles in.
It was a brother that wrote that article or something.
Right.
Sister. Throwing hands.
It says, according to WKYT, 4-year-old Michael Tink Trimble's plans to spend his first day of school minding his business while living his best Capri Sun flavored life came to an abrupt end when his grandmother, Randy Woodley, was summoned to the principal's office. I wonder what flavor that Capri Sun was. It says, once there, Woodley was informed that her grandson's hair was too long and that she had 3 options to rectify the matter. This is a quote. The superintendent then gave me 3 options, Woodley told WKYT. He told me that I could either cut it, braid it, and pin it up, or put my grandson in a dress and send him to school.
This is America.
There's also this juicy nugget, courtesy of CNN. That's the Caucasian News Network. It says the superintendent responded that if she was so passionate about keeping Tink's long hair, she could put him in a dress and have her grandson tell others that he was a girl. His grandmother recounted. That way, the child would be treated as a transgender student and protected by federal law.
So you see the agenda that's being pushed, right? Go ahead, read on.
That sound like when they be saying, what's that quote? They be saying, black is the new gay or gay is the new black. That foolishness. It says, so he says, see, I told you throwing hands is entirely justified. Woodley notes that the school's dress code prohibits ponytails, ducktails, rat tails, male buns, or puffballs on male students, and that hair shouldn't extend past the top of a t-shirt collar. As is to be expected, Tink isn't the only kid feeling the wrath of Tatum Independent School District's hair policy. Another mother, Kabrim Cox, had a similar experience with her son, Kalen. She says, my son came home and said that, Mom, I think there's something wrong with my hair, she said. With my son's dreadlocks, sometimes they do fall in front of his face. So I felt it would be easier to put his hair up. But then that's a problem. Scroll down. Parents are disgusted by what's occurring with the Texas school district and are fighting back by attending school board meetings and demanding the school dress code be changed. I will be here at every board meeting, Woodley told the Tatum School Board. At a recent meeting, I will fight to get all of the rules changed. But more importantly, Woodley wants her grandson to know that he's perfectly fine just the way he is. I was just always taught to embrace my identity, embrace who we are, Woodley told WTHR.
Okay, so now I want you to go back and show the image. Scroll back up. The little boy. All right, see where his hair is? All right, now pull up a picture. Just type Jesus.
Bring it out.
Just type Jesus in Google and go to images. So you see where his hair is, right?
Bring it out.
Let's see where his hair is. Wait a minute. Where you going? Okay. There you go. Blow that up. Blow that up.
I don't know what that is, but
Bruh.
for real. So this is supposed to be.
So wait a minute. Show the little boy again.
Yeah, side by side.
Huh? Yeah. Can you get it side by side?
There you go. You almost had it. You're almost there. Come on with it. There you go.
There you go. What's the difference?
Right.
What's the difference?
But the one on the left is a much better
Bring
looking
it
picture.
out.
Right. But hair length.
That's right.
So now, if Mama went in there with a picture there, you go tell why Jesus put on a dress?
You should have said it. He probably should have said that. Like, listen, I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ.
Right. It just shows the hypocrisy that we deal with on a regular basis. Right. Okay. So, all right. I just y'all got any comments on that?
It's just crazy because basically, in order for her to get any kind of rights for her son, he got to commit to be a transgender and all kind of genders and all kind of foolishness.
Right.
That's crazy as hell.
And wait a minute. There you go. That's what we get under that image.
Yep.
That's the doctrine that we get under that image that they push right there.
Bring it out.
Hey,
right there.
They say what they say every time we go teach. God loves everybody.
Right.
Apparently Texas don't. They didn't get that message.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Cap, got anything on that one? Okay. All right. One more. We got one more story, and then we're going to get into the meat of the show because this showing the...
Bring it out.
The hatred that the nations have against us, but also the hatred that we have against each other. We showed how the brother was beaten, stabbed, and they world starred him instead of helping him, right? Now, remember what we just read. That they told the grandmother, you can put him in a dress and call him a transgender, and he'll be protected under the law, right? So this place, America, that we in, Babylon, right? What is it compared to in the scriptures? Spiritual what? Sodom and Egypt, right? So they push these agendas. So let's play that video on this next story right here. It's only 2 minutes. Let's play this video.
Sir, live outside Sinai Grace Hospital with details. Dave?
Monica, when the victim in this case was taken to Sinai Grace here in Detroit, she was listed in critical condition, shot 11 times. The person accused of putting her in that condition was her own wife. Now, tonight I had a chance to speak to the victim as she recovers, and she explained.
Rewind that back. All right, play it again. Play it again, huh?
Critical condition, shot 11 times. The person accused of putting her in that condition was her own wife. Now, tonight I had a chance to speak to the victim as she recovers, and she explains what happened inside her home just yesterday. From a hospital bed just hours after emergency surgery and 2 blood transfusions, Ariane Wallace tells us what happened to her in her own home.
She emptied the whole clip inside my body.
It was Monday morning. Wallace had just confronted her wife of 12 years.
I was telling her that we need to get a divorce because I can handle a lot of things, but I cannot handle infidelity.
In her anger, Wallace admits she threatened to do the same to her own wife.
It made me uncomfortable at home. Don't be surprised if I have another female in here. And I don't know why I said that. She was just like, you want to play with me? You want to play with me? And she pulled the gun out and looked me in my eyes, and she started shooting me.
But she never expected what would happen next.
She shot me 4 times in my vagina, 4 times in my leg, 3 times in my stomach.
Wallace says her wife just snapped.
I'm like, okay, I hear you. I'm not going to do it. And she kept going.
Somehow, Wallace remained conscious and willed her way out of her house.
I had to gather up as much strength as I could, get down my stairs and get outside because the neighbors had heard it. So As soon as I opened up the door, there was already people out there. Like, can y'all please call the police?
When the suspect was arrested, police say she claims the shooting was done in self-defense. Wallace says this was attempted murder.
She wanted me to die because she has always felt like if she can't have me, no one can have me.
And police were able to take this.
So, you know, a lot of times when the police are trying to piece together a crime, that would be one of those crimes that would come under a crime of passion.
Yeah. Yep.
That was brutal.
Yeah, that's.
She tried to blow her private parts off her body.
Yeah, and that was the 4 times she shot in the stomach, 3 and twice in the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she unloaded a clip. That's what they got a terminology, overkill.
Right.
They give you more than several shots.
And all of this, whole praises, she had a chance to live through it because she can now accept the truth and understand that, hey, the Most High showed her favor. The least she can do is now serve the Most High. We in Detroit also, sisters like that need to understand that they need this truth. They need to follow the Most High the correct way. And you following the Most High correct way, situations like that won't occur because a woman ain't supposed to be with a woman. A man is not supposed to be with a man. In the beginning, God made male and female, created he, them. He told them to be fruitful and multiply. From what she said she can't be in a situation of infidelity. That's what she told him.
Right.
So she was in a relationship.
Well, that was her wife of 12 years.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So what she was saying is she wanted to change.
The one that did the shooting had been cheating on her.
Okay, so she was upset with her cheating. So.
Right, and she said, well, how would you like if I bring a woman up here? She said that's when she snapped.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, the whole thing is confusion. Wow. We got to get out there to Detroit. And if you don't see it now, we are enemies to ourselves.
Right.
We are enemies to ourselves. Hey, let we go to a commercial break and we'll go right back in it. We got some more enemies to show you in Israel.
That's right.
Some of them you might listen to.
So again, you're tuned in to the Lionz Den Radio Show where we do not ignore evil. We seek to expose it. And on the heels of the Chicago March, where is all the reports on what happened in Chicago? Where's the news media? They were there. Why ain't we seeing it on TV?
Right. Oh, you know why, right? It wasn't AKs and bullets flying everywhere. That's why.
There was no killing.
So
it was positive.
If our enemy ain't gonna do it, we're gonna take it upon ourselves. All right. All right. Let's let that video roll.
Surpasses the death toll of many of these mass shootings combined and do not get the same coverage. And that's another issue that people are saying that when you came and you did this did not get any coverage in the main media.
Yeah, it's a blackout when them blacks out. And we ain't even bring the max out. Every hood, every street are getting packed out. All across the world, we the ones they ask about. It's a blackout. It won't be told. It's a blackout. Turn to every channel, I ain't seen nothing. But it's all good though. We know what that's now. They tryna hit us with a blackout. We threw a viral with a spiral. Though he's playing, now we fighting fire with the fire. The dragon raw, cause we causing all this racket. But we in different brackets, cause every march is madness. I see a guys, but I ain't see a thing on CNN. And CHI might be something they never see again. Fake news being fake, man. The streets, we made it quake. The army exceeding great, man. You should have seen they face. It's a blackout. Woo! Yeah, it's a blackout when them blacks out. And we ain't even bring the the max out. Every hood, every street are getting packed out. All across the world, we the ones they ask about. It's a blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell it all. It's a blackout. But right before you, we know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell it all. It's a blackout. But right before you, we know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout.
It's a blackout. Tell me what is that about? Maybe if we set up shop in the trap house, or maybe if we flexed on them with them racks out, would've got the coverage like we ran a route. Fox was fly, CBS closed their eye. We can't be hid with this tower up in the sky. Not built on sand, not built by man. No marching band, no Drake. This is really God's plan. It's a blackout. Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, it's a blackout when them blacks out. And we ain't even bring the max out. Every hood, every street are getting packed out. All across the world, we the ones they ask about. It's a blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell us all. It's a blackout. But right before you, we know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell us all. It's a blackout.
Let me get them one more time.
We know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout.
We up next, we blessed, we the best. Revolution will be streamed on the internet. Gotta wake up, Jacob, here to do nothing less. Princes of the power back, God in the flesh.
This is man, this is God in complete control. Go to remote areas to try to reach the soul. Fake news being fake, man. The streets we made it quake. The army exceeding great, man. You should have seen they face. It's a blackout. Woo! Yeah, it's a blackout when them blacks out. And we ain't even bring the max out. Every hood, every street are getting packed out. All across the world, we the ones they ask about. It's a blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell us all. It's a blackout. But right before you, we know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout. It won't be televised. It's a blackout. They tell us all. It's a blackout. But right before you, we know what that's about. They tryna hit us with the blackout.
More about what you all were doing in Inglewood, in the city of Chicago, because I know you're based out of New York. So tell us more about what that whole display was about, and what is the Israel United in Christ?
Well, Israel United in Christ is a faith-based organization uniting black men and women, Latin men and women, to the truth that they are part of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel that the Bible speaks about.
All righty, all right. We are back. Lion's Den Radio Show. Hey, that's nation building. If they don't want to put it out there, we're going to put it out there for ourselves to represent the Most High.
That's right.
Bring it out.
That's right.
So, all praises to the Most High for those brothers in the ATL. Hey, that video is fire.
Yeah, it was fire.
Yes, it was.
That video is fire.
Fuego.
So, we are back. What? We need a name.
Oh boy.
We need a name. Hey, this brother need his name. This brother need a flyer. This brother need intervention.
We told y'all about to see a whole bunch of ignorance.
Right.
we go bring up this next video, and I want y'all to pay attention how manipulative Esau is.
Somebody said we weren't killing each other. Chicago failed our people again. Yeah. Well, the thing is that believes the sister. The thing is that, like I said, we are in an ignorant state. We have failed each other. It's not Chicago. Chicago, it's a game plan. When you look at what they're trying to do, Chicago, they see property value in Chicago. So they're gonna demonize Chicago and say that's the only city that are killing each other. Chicago ain't no worse than the Bronx, New York. Bronx, New York ain't worse than Miami or Liberty City in southern Florida. It's nothing different from the regions you live in. That was Detroit when we saw the sister getting shot 4 times in her vagina. That was Detroit. So it's not Chicago. That's what they would like for us to think, that this is Chicago and Chicago people are bad. This whole thing is a plot on the Israelites to make us look like criminals,
Right.
and to demonize us. And now all heads turn to Chicago. We forget about the drug dealer on our corners. We don't say nothing about
Right.
all the killings and all the throwaway guns that be sold in our community.
Right.
And we focus on Chicago and say Chicago, something wrong with Chicago. Meanwhile, Trap standing on your corner selling dope. What's some other names? Black standing over there in a trap house selling stolen pistols.
Yep.
Chicago is a plot for us. They painted a boogeyman for us to look at Chicago and say, you know what? I agree with the tactics of bringing in whatever we got to do to get the crime down in Chicago. Get them bringing the crime down in Chicago as they painted is pushing blacks out of Chicago into more areas where they can just kill each other, and then the primary focus will be on that area. While they come in after the black people are removed out of Chicago, they buy up all the property.
Right.
And they moving them into another area and say, we need to buy that property too. And then they move them out of that area and they condense us into this small place. And then you see Chicago all over again. Chirac, but it's in another location.
You're a white man. And you know, I'm glad you said that, Cap, because even when we were lining up to do the march and you saw our brothers and sisters coming out, like, what's going on here? You know, and they were asking questions. And I'm going to tell you, I ain't feel no more uncomfortable in Chicago than I do in Pine Hills or in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Detroit.
And that's what the sister's saying too. So it's like,
all our neighborhoods.
Yeah. So I mean, we ain't hear no gunshots in Chicago when we went down.
No, we didn't.
It was
At least
just
I
fine.
didn't. I don't remember hearing none.
No gunshots.
Right.
Nope. Not until after we finished marching.
After we finished. But it wasn't like people were just shooting choppers all day or AK-47s all day.
Right.
You know what's funny about it? Because we was talking about media coverage, right? We did the march first. By the third, you have a nail salon, which, if we paid attention to social media, where another one of our sisters got slapped upside the head again by Chinese men going into that same color nail salon place. From the third, that's been on, and that's not been televised nationwide neither. To your point.
Right.
And you got a Chinese man that assaulted a black woman. More importantly, I believe this incident this year, he withheld a minor from leaving to go into custody of her mother. Another sister was recording it. Another Chinese man came and tried to snatch her phone. Then she felt some type of way, and it was a big protest. And you know what the end solution was? A brother came, angry, threw bricks in the salon and bashed up all the windows. Mind you, they got insurance. Brother went to jail. They celebrated it and bailed him out. And since that time, they said they've been boycotting, but that place is still open. That same Chinese man went on, it was, I can't remember the name of the show. He went on the show because, you know, he's losing money, obviously, right? He said, I know how to treat the black woman. That was his statement while holding a Jesus piece, saying, I know Jesus. I love Jesus. Then he said, what can I do to get y'all back in my business? Because he does not care. It's about the quota, right? They said to him, apologize. Guess what he didn't do? Apologize.
Right.
It's a slap in the face.
Right.
So to your point, dealing with Chicago's like no other projects. That's why any of the projects, that's why they call it a project. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
It's an experiment on us. And instead of us unifying, instead of us seeing like what we did, a positive image, right? Spreading that. All those people came with their protests. Hey, put that out there. Put this out there. Put that image out there. Instead, you're vandalizing your neighborhood. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're feeding into their hands because as much as he's crying broke, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He may change the name and set up shop across the street and still cater to our people, like we's bringing out the sister being destroyed for not having self-confidence, because why are we going to another nation and supporting them that's oppressing us? He did it a year ago, and a year later, the same black women are back into that same facility.
You know, like what happened in Chicago, that was a major event. You ain't talking about just a couple men. You're talking about thousands of men going down there marching on the street. Talking about blocking off cars. We walking through the streets of Inglewood, Chicago, and they don't publicize that. But then you have a couple that not justifying anything that happened, what I'm about to say. Listen to me. You had a couple that go to Disney World and they break out into a fight, and that hits the news.
Right. Right.
They fighting at Disney World.
Right.
Again, all this stuff is the demonizers. That was something positive in Chicago, but they'll play
Bring
two
it
people
out.
fighting at Disney World and put that on every news channel there is.
Mm-hmm.
They say this is what black people do. They're not civilized. Can't even go to Walt Disney World without hate.
It's ratings. That's
They run it all week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Crazy.
Right. All right. So let's play this video. It says Africans were in the Americas before Columbus. Hotep Jesus.
Is that right?
Yes.
Bruh.
Okay. Yeah. Bruh. All right. Let's go and play that video.
They're still suffering from it, especially in the Deep South. When you look at these places
Now, go
where the
back all the
people
way
who
to the
live
beginning.
are
Start
the
at the
direct
beginning.
descendants of slaves.
Yeah. Very beginning. Yep. There we go.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
It's a conversation that I think is a fascinating one, the conversation of reparations, because there can be no doubt that something horrible happened to the black community and they're still suffering from it, especially in the Deep South when you look at these places where the people who lived are the direct descendants of slaves.
Yeah.
And then these are the same impoverished neighborhoods that no one's ever done anything to try to fix.
Right.
So how do you fix it?
You first have to start with the subconscious mind of the black mind. The problem with the black mind is the fact that the black mind starts off with a defeatist mentality. From the day you're born, you're taught the white man's out to get you. So you start off with a boogeyman, and then you're taught that you're a slave, right? So when your subconscious mind believes that the beginnings of your race is a slave, how do you aspire to be more than that? So in order to correct the black community, you have to teach black history, or so-called black history, or what I would say African history, in chronological order. Before we were slaves, we were kings. So how do you have a whole entire nation of 40 some odd million black people, and majority of them never heard of Queen Angola, who never heard of the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, none of this stuff, right? King Mansa Musa. How do you raise the people's level of awareness about this stuff? And how do you elevate them to want to do things in life when they think they are a slave? That's the first thing that you have to do to help black people. You have to teach them who they are.
That expression, before they were slaves, they were kings. The problem with that is a king is a monarch, and a monarch is one person who controls giant groups of people. You can't have a bunch of kings. There's not a lot of kings. You can't have a nation of kings.
Correct. But that's very different from saying, we had 4 kings, right? Let's say there were just 4, right? Mm-hmm. That's better than saying Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and these free slaves, right? You actually have to see at least one king.
I see what you're saying.
At least say.
So see one advanced human being that also looks like you, that came from the same part of the world where your ancestors came from. So recognize that the trajectory that you and your family are on is a direct result of being enslaved. That someone was enslaved in the past and brought over here against their will. Mm-hmm. That's why there's the negative mindset. That's why there's a negative self-image, is because there's this great history of oppression.
Yeah. When you think you're a slave, you can't operate outside of that.
And even if you don't think you're a slave, you think you're inferior. I had, do you know who Miss Pat is?
No.
Hilarious comedian. One of the funniest human beings alive. And she was here, and one of the things she was talking about was when she was younger, that when she would see white people, she wouldn't look them in the eye. She would get nervous. She felt inferior being around them. Mm-hmm. She just wanted to get away. She didn't feel like she belonged.
Right. And that's a product of not knowing who you are, not knowing your own personal power. When you look at the Second Punic Wars of Carthage, you had Hannibal went through the Alps, which is Mission Impossible, and he went all the way to the doors of Rome. And Rome said, "Yo, we ain't coming outside to fight you, bro. We ain't coming." That's how strong the power for the army was. They said, "We don't want to fight." They knew if they came outside those gates, they would get their ass whooped. So how do you have a people that walk around not knowing that Hannibal Barca is a well-studied war general? Today, the Pentagon still studies him, right? So how are you operating in America as a black person and not know who Hannibal Barca is?
Well, it's difficult, I think, for people that were born in America and all their known ancestors are from America to even relate. Like my family is mostly from Italy and Sicily, and some of them from Ireland. Mm-hmm. I don't relate at all. I visit Italy in the
So
summer
then-
times, I don't relate at all.
Right. So
All right,
then the
pause
other
just for a second.
psyop
Pause
is
just for a second. So Esau just basically read off his history, his beginnings, where his family line comes from. Did he say anything about he needed a DNA test for that? No.
Nah.
He knows who he is. Just like the brother said, we need to know who we are, right? And Edomite went about, how important an image is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, image is everything. That's to his point. There's a book. What was that? Black Indian said, colored people are basically the children being taught that their heritage is muted because they have no imagery to look up to. They have nothing to focus on, nothing to actually grasp to. Right. Just like how we were talking about earlier, the image of the young man, as far as the hair, like what we were taught was Christ.
Right.
It's a powerful image, and we teach it a lot because it's the truth, and it's very uplifting. The same way
That's right.
you got a lot of inventors, right? That our people don't know nothing about, don't even know what they look like. You know what I'm saying? But every February you hear about, no disrespect, you hear about the same three individuals and don't realize.
One person, yeah.
Yeah, everything that's around you, people that look like you invented or had a part, in improving upon. So of course it'll build confidence and things like that if you know your history. But you gotta be mindful of where you're getting information from, where it's leading you to, going back into what's your name, right?
Can you go back a little bit where he's describing where he's from? Right. Just a couple seconds. Go ahead.
know who Hannibal Barca is.
Well, it's difficult, I think, for people that were born in America and all their known ancestors are from America to even relate. Like my family is mostly from Italy and Sicily, and some of them from Ireland. I don't relate.
You see how he said it's difficult for those in America to relate to who they are in general. He knows. He's talking about it's difficult for y'all, you black man, so-called black man. It's difficult for you to relate to who you are. Bible says, Isaiah 1:3, Israel don't know who they are. He can just spout out his lineage of who he's from, where he's from, what place he came from, but we don't. It's difficult for us to understand that, we the Israelites. This brother right here is talking about he's African, name is Hotep, Jesus. This one he's being played. He knows exactly who he is. The black man just sitting there talking about him, about all the wisdom he has about the history. But God said he loves none but those that dwell with wisdom. He's talking about the wisdom and the knowledge of the commandments that I'm an Israelite. I got to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Like, it's good to know history, but that brother don't know who he is in general. So that's a slap in the face.
He's still referring to himself as an African.
Right, and that's in the very, he what's his name? That's Joe Rogan. He's very slick with his words because in the very beginning of the video, I don't know if you caught it, but every time I play it, it rings in my head. He says, "I find it very fascinating that you this conversation of what's it called it." Reparations. You know why it's fascinating? Because you can't get reparations if you don't, like they said, if we can't identify ourselves. Where were you? Where did you do the work? What happened? Who was your parents? Who was your grandparents? How many holes did you dig? How can you get paid back for something you don't know what you did?
You know what? Can we post that definition right quick of reparations? Because a lot of people say the word, but a lot of times we may not understand what it actually means. I was looking at it earlier, and it's fascinating. As the guy said, some of the things that, you take for granted that you know, but when you go back and study it again, get that definition for us right quick. Put it up there for us all to see. All right. Reparation. The making of amends for a wrong one has done by paying money to otherwise helping those who have been wronged. Restitution, compensation, recompense. These are words in the Bible.
Right.
Right.
So, when we ask for reparations, but yet when we go to the Bible and bring out the form of reparations that the Most High gonna deliver.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but God loves everybody.
You bring it out. Bring it out. Or they tell you
Bring
that
it
wasn't
out.
me. That was my ancestors. But we good from here on, right? Actually, I wanted to read a scripture real quick, if you don't mind, in Ezra, because they're talking about reparations. There's a reason why, even if they could, to Officer Daniel's point, they're not going to pay you back. They can never pay you back. Because like I was bringing out, okay, even if you calculated how much we dug, right? Cool. What about all the inventions? Everything you robbed, all the patents. It's endless. You're still currently making profit off of it. You'd have to drop everything, like the Bible says, put a chain around your neck, and just give it up. Just give it the keys to the kingdom. But we're going to wait for Christ for that. But I want to read historically how ancestors dealt with the same thing when we went to Persian captivity to go rebuild, right? Tobias and Sanballat. Ezra chapter 4, start from verse 12. Because just to recap, you got Cyrus, he took over after Babylonian captivity. He had it in his heart to set us free and go build back Jerusalem. Because he understood everything was of the Lord, right? So now you had some wicked heathen that was amongst us that did not want to see us get reparations. And he's going to explain to you why. Yep, start from verse 12.
Second Ezra, chapter 4.
No, I'm sorry, Ezra.
I got it.
Sorry.
The book of Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 12. Be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from thee to us are come unto Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundations.
So they called us rebellious because we rebelled against the laws of the heathen, because we was keeping the Lord's commandments. This is what he's putting in the king's ear. Keep reading.
Basically, homegrown terrorists.
Yep, there you go. Come on.
Be it known now unto the king that if this city be builded and the wall set up again, then will they not pay toll.
They will what?
They will not pay toll,
come on,
tribute, and custom. And so thou shalt endamage the revenue of the king.
That's why they never gonna give you reparations. Their kingdom is over.
Yeah.
Every last penny, every last cent, they gotta cough
That's
up.
right.
Matter of fact, they gotta go in their baby crib and take the diaper off his back right now and give it to him. That's how real it is. So they understand you ain't gonna get it from them. You're gonna have to keep the commandments and the faith of Christ. That's when you're gonna get some real reparations.
Just gotta take the baby diaper back.
Telling you.
Yeah, I want it all.
All right, let's go ahead and roll that some more.
Relate at all. I visit Italy in the summer times. I don't relate at all.
Right. So then the other psyop is the fact that we were the natives. We were not brought here on slave ships. That's not economically sound. What
do you mean?
Make sense. So when Christopher Columbus got here, Christopher Columbus got to the Caribbean, according to primary source.
Right.
They basically said the first thing he did was take slaves. He didn't bring slaves. He took slaves from the island. He captured people. So when you have colonization, you got to remember, the United States was only built 13 colonies at first, right? You think this whole land was empty? No, there were natives here.
Right.
But today we're taught that natives is some other people. No, natives are the melanated African being that has come here since the beginning of the Mali Empire. We're talking about 14th, 13th century. We had already come here from Africa.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had already come here.
To the United States or to
this landmass we call the United States. So the way the ocean current works is it works from Africa, leaves out of West Africa, comes to South America and the Caribbean. That's just how the currents go. You don't need no paddle boat or nothing. The currents just take you there, and then you travel up. But we had already been here. All you got to do is look up the story of Sarah Rector. Sarah Rector is a wealthy so-called Native American. I think she was a Choctaw tribe or one of these tribes, but she was wealthy, and she wanted a VI pass to go somewhere, and they had her classified as a free person. Why don't we know about the wealthy so-called black people in America? Why don't we know that there were black slave owners in America? Why is that not taught? Why is it not taught?
How many black slave owners were there?
Man, the natives here had slaves. They were trading slaves with the so-called white man.
Well, they definitely did that. Natives enslaved people of other tribes.
Right. So if those people are us, the so-called black man, if those natives were us, then we have to tell that history and say how we did have territories and we did, carry out commerce, and we weren't slaves. We were slave owners.
Right, but the majority
All right,
of
hold on.
African Americans that
Pause
live.
that for a minute. The brother said, first of all, slavery wasn't economically sound. So why would there be slavery? But then he said, Columbus took the Africans that was already over here back to Spain. Now, wait a minute. That's confusing. And we need to clear that up. Cap, you go.
That's right.
Hey, I sent.
I'm confused.
You confused, Cap?
I'm confused.
Yeah, you're not confused, Cap. Like, listen.
I gotta process this stuff.
Okay, all right. Let's I'm gonna send you something I want you to post up for the people. Yeah, post that picture I just sent to you.
So he came with a boat to capture slaves to bring them to Spain.
On a boat.
Okay.
So let's get Deuteronomy 28:68. Just leave that up for a minute. We're gonna get to that.
Bring it out.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And then we're gonna get 2nd Ezra.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Now here's the interesting part. The brother keeps talking about history. But the main source of our history he is not acknowledging. Okay? So go ahead.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
We will not see our homeland as a people, as a nation. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
That sounds like slavery. You'll be sold unto another people. Go ahead.
For bondmen. And bondwomen. And no man shall buy you.
So we would not be redeemed out of that condition, which we are still in today. Now, for my Hotep brother, that we pray repents, let's read verse 48.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48.
Because if we're not slaves to this day, then that means we should be able to produce the things necessary for our existence. We should not have to go outside of ourselves to get these things, right? Go ahead.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in the want of all things.
So we would have to serve these other nations or enemies, right? Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And the enemy will put yokes of iron upon our necks. Go ahead.
Until he have destroyed thee.
When you are destroyed, you say things like, I don't believe that there was slavery. So I don't believe in the slave ships.
What are the slave docks on the west coast of Africa? What is that all about? They just made those things what is that? The Gold Coast. What are those? What is all that stuff down there?
I'm actually tempted to ask him what's his last name.
Right, exactly.
What do you place all that in history? Like what actually happened on the coast?
Yeah. It's an astonishment.
How do you explain it? Like
our brother's in astonishment right now. He's fixed the curses.
Mobile, Alabama, slave docks. Like it's reported history. Where did those come from? What did that part of history? Where did it go? What happened there?
Right.
That's the flood. That's what we was talking about with Revelations 12.
Exactly.
That's the flood that was cast out of his mouth. This is why we're not a part of the same faith, the same spirit, the same baptism. That is the flood. He was taught that in a theologian school or whatever school he attended. They told him that, and he believes it. He believes it wholeheartedly, and it doesn't makes sense. Here's a white man questioning, like, what? You don't believe that your forefathers were slaves?
Almost like he about to pull a proof out the closet. Yeah.
Hey, Cap.
He wanted to play the movie of Roots for him.
Go ahead.
Bring it out.
It was passed down to Joe Rogan's father and grandfather and father before him that you were their slaves. You were their last name.
Right.
They believe it because they know what happened to you.
He's looking at that brother like, you got my last name. What are you talking about? Hey, it's gonna get better. Go ahead. Let's read this. I'll read it, and it's called The Book of the Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. I'm going to read off of page 157. That's what you see on your screen right now. All right. And then we're going to read what De La Casas and the other conquistadors read and knew. All right. It says, but it took him another 2 years, he tells us, to undergo his final conversion. Preparing a sermon for Pentecost in 1514, his eyes fell on chapter 34 of Ecclesiasticus. And on verse 19 through 22 in particular. Let's read that right quick. So when we are told, no, we don't believe in that little book, that's not canon. But wait a minute. Here, those that came to enslave us, they read it. Right. They read the prophecy. Okay, read that.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 34, verse 19. The Most High is not pleased with the offerings of the wicked, neither is he pacified for sin by the multitude of sacrifices. Whoso bringeth an offering of the goods of the poor, doeth as one that killeth the son before his father's eyes. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defraudeth the laborer of his hire is a bloodshedder.
And we know that this people didn't just take away our ability to make a living. They took away everything. We read that in Micah. They took everything away from us, right? So now, let me jump down. I'm going to read this in the next chapter. It says, this seems to have been this seems to have been La Casa's Pauline moment, referring to Paul the Apostle, and the fact that it was derived from a canonically, marginal text is another suggestion of a new Christian background. No doubt as a result of their own marginality, the new Christians were drawn to the apocryphal and deuterocanonical writings. And we have noted that the power that Esdras had among them. So now, what were they referring to in Esdras? Let's read 2nd Esdras chapter 13, 40 through 45. Because it's time that our people wake up. It's time that the truth comes out. Right. The truth and the understanding that we are not Africans. We are the Israelites according to the Bible. Let's read that.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters.
Now he said this happened around the 13th or the 14th century under the Songhay Empire, right? But we know that this was going on around the time of Cyrus. All right, go ahead.
And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely, of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. And until now what? When they then dwelt they there until the latter time.
Which is what we're living in now. Go ahead.
And now when they shall begin to come.
So that's how these people that the brother is describing as Africans got here.
Right.
What the brother doesn't understand is these are the 12 tribes of Israel that they found over here. All right. And he's talking about going to different writings. we go to the different writings, but we go to the Bible and we substantiate the truth in the Bible by the prophecies that was put upon us.
Right.
And then you have others that wrote about what happened. They wrote their accounts of what happened.
Right.
And even made reference to the same Bible and Apocrypha and the prophecies that we understand that came true.
Right. One of those things, he was pulling it up a while ago dealing with the Arsarit, because he was saying, as far as us already being here, as we're going to watch on in the video, I think his biggest problem is he really doesn't understand his history.
Right.
He knows bits and pieces, but it's like a puzzle. He doesn't have the Bible, to your point, to put everything together. Because he has some good history that we actually go over to as well with Hannibal and everything.
Exactly.
But it's to put those puzzle pieces together.
That's why I said the brother needs a flyer.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead and
but
go back.
what we
You got
seeing?
something, Cap?
Yeah, just something quick. What we seeing from this is an example of what we read about in Ezekiel. Right now, bones are connecting. Bone with bone is connecting, and the Most High start to gradually increase his understanding, and then the sinews and everything of the flesh begin to come upon those bones, and he starts to realize the truth. And he put down the stuff that he discovered, because I came in under conspiracy theories. I was nowhere near what an Israelite was. I came in understanding the back of the dollar bill. Something's wrong with the world. Look at the sign, AOL sign, the I in the middle. That's all seeing eye, the CBS, the all seeing eye. Everything's the devil around me. Then I was introduced with a flyer. You an Israelite, and I woke up from there. So something was connecting. Someone was moving my spirit to that direction for me to question things around me. And then I was introduced to the truth. So there's always time to learn. But this is the prophecy. The dry bones is now starting to revive. And some people, which we're going to play, are taking advantage of that. Some people are actually making money off of it.
All right, go ahead.
Here, we're brought over
Back
here.
it up a little bit.
No.
That's good. Just
Did have territories, and we did, carry out commerce, and we weren't slaves. We were slave owners.
Right, but the majority of African Americans that lived here were brought over here.
No, that's not economically sound.
What do you mean by it's not economically sound? Like there were slave ships, right?
All right, let's say you wanted to have, you wanted to sell marijuana, right?
Right.
Would you import marijuana, or would you grow it here if it's already here?
Well, it depends on whether or not marijuana grew here.
Well, can you grow marijuana here?
You can, but
Okay.
we're just talking about marijuana. Like, what if we're talking about something that you can't grow here?
So what I'm saying is, people were already here. Does it make sense to go all the way to this other continent to bring people on a boat when we know that half of your stock is going to die? You wouldn't do that.
So how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened.
I don't believe it.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
I don't believe that story.
Hey,
You
hold
don't
on
believe
a
that
second.
Africans were brought over?
Stop that for a second. Can I bring something out real quick? Pull up. I sent something on a research group. So what this brother is suffering from is a traumatic instance in his life that he's trying to forget, and that is called repressed memory.
That's right.
This is repressed memory. Just wanna, if somebody just read that, if you can zoom it in a little bit more. Just,
says repressed memories are memories that have been unconsciously blocked due to the memory being associated with a high level of stress or trauma.
Slavery. He's trying to block out the fact that our history here in America begins with slavery. Read on.
The theory postulates that even though the individual cannot recall the memory, it may still be affecting them subconsciously, and that these memories can emerge later into the consciousness.
So you heard it emerge into his consciousness now, right now, when he's speaking to Joe Rogan. Now, in part of the curses that we would go through was that we would have what's called repressed memories. Can I bring that out real quick? Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 67. This is what's called repressed memories. Why? Because we broke the commandments of God and we no longer know who we are. So we're trying to identify with something that's better than where we at right now. And this is the curse that identifies that we are the Israelites today.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 67.
Mm-hmm.
In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even.
See, you're trying to forget what just happened in the morning. He's trying to forget what happened at that very moment. What would that happen at that moment? Slavery. He's trying to repress that memory. Read.
And at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning.
Because the curses that follow us, slavery and oppression, is following us every single day. So he's trying to block that out. He's like, in the morning, I'm trying to get rid of it. In the evening, I'm trying to forget it. Read.
For the fear of thine heart.
The fear of the heart. What is the fear? That, damn, we broke God's commandments and I'm an Israelite and I was a slave at one point in my life. But he doesn't want to identify as that because he wants to identify as maybe an American. Read.
Wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
You see all the evidence. You see the history books, but he's still trying to forget. Nope. I want to forget what happened this morning. I want to forget what happened this evening.
You know, that's a heavy point because that's why a lot of our people drug abuse. They're trying to forget. They really trying to suppress it. That you know, one of the two main things due to oppression or traumatic experiences, like you was bringing out, and that's crazy because he damn sure is trying to forget it. He got the little parts to it, but it's like he's trying to get the good out of it without the bad. You can't separate it.
Right.
You know, one thing too, it still leaves you without an answer. Why? Why did it happen? If that's the case, if they made up slavery and they made you think that we was carried on slave ships and we were brought over here as slaves by the million, why would they make up that? Why would they say that? And if we were already over here, why would they enslave us? Why would they put drugs in our community? Why are they doing this today? It still leaves you without a solution. Only thing you can say that we were kings. We was kings. We was this. We were. What are we now? And why is this happening to us now? Still without an answer. Still don't know who you are. It all goes back to we got to search the scriptures. I mean, you can't run away from it. You can't run away from it. You're trying to suppress it, and that's at every point. Repress memories.
All praises. All right, go ahead and roll that some more. That's why. Yeah, go back to the video. That's why we you adopt Egyptology, then you change your name to some kind of Egyptian name, right? You adopt Islam, you change your name to X or Muhammad. You know,
bring it out.
It's not the name that we were born with. Most of us was born over here with the slave master's name on us. You know, but then you turn around and say things like, I don't believe slavery happened. You know, but I was born Tyrone Johnson. You know?
Hey, also, you know how that's a double whammy too, because he was mentioning about the Second Punic Wars, right? So in the end result, what happened at the end of the Second Punic Wars?
Right.
Leo Cyprius Africanus, right? What did he name the land? He named it after himself, Africa. And this brother identified himself as an African. So still, it goes right back into him being a slave. You understand?
Yeah,
no matter where you go, at the white man's name, the America, whatever names we got over here, or you calling yourself an African, you still identifying yourself as a slave.
And he clearly can identify himself. He say he's from Italy, Sicilia. You got people there all over the place.
Right.
Can I bring up an article? Soldier Yuri. It's should be called "Remembrance of Slave Ancestors Lost to the Sea." Go back about 5 seconds, 7 to 5 seconds. I play.
I don't believe it.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
I don't believe that story.
Go back.
You don't believe that Africans?
Go back a little bit more. A little bit more. All right, go ahead.
Well, when we know that half of your stock is going to die, you wouldn't do that.
So how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened.
I don't believe it.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
I don't believe that story.
You don't believe that Africans were brought over on slave ships?
Correct.
All right, stop.
I believe.
All right, you see the article? Should be it's called "Remembrance of Slave Ancestors Lost to the Sea." It's on the this is the first article Officer Daniel posted. For articles. Repost it for me. Okay.
Hey, we're going to read something right quick while he searches that, because he says it's not economically sound, right? When we go back to, you got that? Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. Let's read that.
This is Lost Tribes and Promised Lands on page 158. A similar blot disfigures Lacasse's proposal of 1516, one that is even more ominous, for he, too, regarded forced labor as unavoidable in the mines at any rate. But since he would not have it imposed on the Indians, he recommended that Negro slaves be imported instead.
You see that? He says, I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense. You'd lose. They were already losing the slaves that they had. They were working on the death. They was dying from illnesses that the Europeans brought. You were already losing your labor force. So you had to bring in another labor force. So what he's saying, and you see how he was confident about everything else he's been bringing out up until this point, until this. Brother's whole countenance changed when it came to this.
Go down to estimates of how many blacks were lost at sea. Keep going. All right, because the brother said he didn't believe it. But where did he learn his education at? Was it in Africa? Or was it here? Where did he learn his education from? Because a lot of things we were taught that we just appeared in 1619 and we came off slave ships. Before that, they don't teach you about your history. They don't teach you about what happened during the passage of how many people were lost at sea. Or that when they kidnapped our people, they would bring them down to the coast, the slave coast, and have us there for months on end. 8-9 months waiting to be shipped over across the sea. All that history is lost. All right? Keep going. Estimates of how many? Keep going. He's scrolling down.
So we were some magically appearing Negroes then.
Keep going.
That's what he tried to say.
That's what they teach us. We just popped up. Black people just popped up in 1619.
Millions of us just came out of nowhere.
All right, there you go. Right there. Go ahead.
What we at? Estimates?
Yes, sir.
Estimates of how many blacks were lost at sea in the roughly 400 years of the slave trade in the Americas vary wildly. Very wildly. Some, like Mr. Akeem, place the figure between 100 million and 200 million. Others say perhaps as many as 14 million people perished. Whichever is true, many historians note that the numbers of enslaved Africans who died at sea were so great that sharks learned to follow the slave routes because they fed on the bodies thrown overboard.
So that brother don't believe that this happened to his people? That it actually changed animals' directions and how they swam in the ocean? The sharks? It said many historians note that the numbers of enslaved Africans who died at sea were so great. How did they die at sea? I don't know. They died because of diseases, or they were thrown overboard due to the port, bringing them to the port. They can only have a certain amount of slaves bringing in.
Right.
Because they started to get greedy, so there was a certain quota of slaves they can actually bring to the port. If you had over that, guess what you had to do with them? Ball and chain. Get rid of a couple hundred.
You know what's so heavy about that, officer, is I got another book. I don't have it with me today. But the same thing was true about the sharks when it was comparing the Indian, so-called Indian Native Americans, which were the 12 tribes that were on the island of what's known today as Bahamas, when they were moved to Hispaniola, right? How many of them died in that slave route from there? It was said that you didn't even need a map because all you had to do was just follow the blood from the Bahamas over to Hispaniola, because that was that many that were being thrown overboard or diving overboard, and again because they was being eaten by the sharks and stuff like that. So the historians know the history that our people, the atrocities that our people suffered. That's why I said, if you notice the brother's countenance, how it changed.
Right.
He was very confident until it came to the slave trade.
Yep, you're right.
It may have happened, maybe people were brought over as slaves, but I don't think that the black people in America came from Africa on slave ships. I believe the people that were here were slowly conquered. First, they got the East Coast, and then they started spreading out west little by little, conquering. And when you conquer a tribe, what do? You enslave them. They're POWs.
Hold on a second.
Right?
Does this sound familiar at camp? Now, up until now, facts, books, right? Now, I believe, I think. You see that? His whole demeanor has changed because he doesn't have any proof to back up what he's saying. Now it's my personal belief. But before, his confidence was in my studies.
Okay.
That's what you do. So after you conquer this tribe, you make them slaves. Now, how do you conquer the natives here? So let's say you got this tribe is warring against this tribe. Well, this tribe goes talk to the white man. White man says, yo, if you help me wipe out these people, then boom, I'll help you with whatever. So they get together and they wipe out this other tribe. Now, guess what? The white man now outnumbers this tribe. So he wipes them out. You just kill two birds with one stone. You just keep moving like that.
But I'm still confused. There's a great history of slave ships being brought over from Africa with
Wait a minute,
Africans.
hold on. Go back about 10 seconds. Listen to Esau. Go back about 10 seconds.
He needs some milk.
You just kill two birds with one stone. You just keep moving like that.
But I'm still confused. There's a great history of slave ships being brought over from Africa with Africans that became slaves and worked in the South. Do you think that's lies?
History is his story.
Right.
What about my story? Is my story not valid?
But if you do 23andMe on someone who is from these parts of the country, you'll find out that
23andMe.
That's real.
So
what is 23andMe?
When I take a 23andMe test, right?
Yes.
What's it going to tell me about Africa?
That's a good question. We should find out.
It's probably going to say, "Oh, you're from Kenya, or you're from Angola, you're from this, right?"
Right.
These things, these borders, were created by Europe.
In terms, yes,
right.
In terms of like what parts of Africa and how it's distributed and what's a country and what's not a country.
Yeah,
right.
These
by
names,
the Afrikaners and Dutch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't classify me based upon a European name.
I understand that, but they're saying.
Please stop. I want y'all to catch that. Please, I want y'all to catch that. He just said you cannot identify me by a European name after quoting that he knows history between Hannibal, correct? And in the Second Punic War, like the officer brought out, he was conquered by who the white man knows his history about Leo Scipio Africanus, who renamed it and dissected the land. The same land that you calling your name after Africa and saying, you can't call me after European name.
Exactly.
Yo, our people destroyed for lack of knowledge for real, man.
Right.
That's crazy. They really making fun of this brother. Like you saying, Cap, it's wicked. It's wicked as hell. And I know... Lord will his brother repents, he gonna be furious if he watch this thing.
Yeah, yes he is.
But that's why they probably chose who they chose, because they knew, hey, the scripture said they do a diligent search. So they're not just gonna bring some random Negro on the show. They're gonna know
Jesus.
Right. They're gonna know what his doctrine is, and he's right now he's just dissecting it, but he's doing it very, very calmly, like it's a conversation.
Right.
So
and even to his point about how they divided us as a people, as I was quoting over there, Jeremiah 50:33. All his answers is in the Bible. He just, like I said, he got the puzzle pieces, but he does not have the right place to filter them through. Because he's right on the point as far as the division that was made amongst us. The northern kingdom is over here. Don't realize that's the southern kingdom being brought over here. And now they got us oppressing each other. Because not all of them enslaved. Some of them did have slaves, yes. You go into history and chronicles. Some of us enslaved our ancestors too.
Right.
So it's not nothing new. It's just to paint, connect the dots.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm gonna show you something. I found him. Hotep Jesus. Brian Sharp.
Bring it out.
Of all names.
You can't classify me.
Sharp. I'm not.
You can't classify me with a European name, but you were classified at birth with a European name.
Brian too.
Yeah, he's classified as an American author and performance artist.
So he got a new European name.
Yeah.
But like the Cap was bringing out, they're making financial gain off of his lack of knowledge and giving him what he feels is a platform to get his message across. It's almost like you assessing, and that Edomite is just looking in awe, like, I can't believe we did a great job. Like, you're so far behind the 8 ball, it's not even funny. You know?
Find it fascinating.
Right. But like, we're gonna bring out 2 and the rest of it. You gonna play the rest of that? Go ahead.
Geographic location, you can call it whatever name you want.
Right.
They can tell you where your genetics originated. Like,
Right.
I've got some weird shit in me. I got like 1% Asian. I don't know why it's there. 1.6% African.
Okay.
There's also weird stuff that you find in your DNA that, like, your ancestors and ancestors' ancestors.
Right.
Someone
let's
was
walk
somewhere.
down that. Let's walk down that
Right.
path, right? So either way, if you take black people here in America and you do their DNA sample and it point back to Africa, what does that say? It says black people in America are Africans. Now, the argument is, were we brought here or were we already here? Did we bring ourselves here or did the white man bring us here? You see, when you say the white man brought us here, what you're doing is you're removing our ability to transport ourselves. You're saying, oh, we didn't know anything about boats. That's what you're trying to tell me. You're trying to tell me that we didn't know that there was a landmass here. Only the holy white man knew there was land to the west. But when you look at the holy white man, he said, when we got here, we met black people. Go look at the primary source. We got here, we met black people. When we got to the Caribbean, we met black people. You think the Caribbean is right next to America and they weren't in America?
That's interesting.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
you go to
it
South
makes sense that you do have people that have traveled, whether it's Polynesians that traveled to Hawaii or people. I mean, there's the Olmecs who were thousands and thousands of years ago in South America. They have clearly African faces.
Yes.
On this, I mean, really, the noses, the lips. I mean, they look African, and that was a South American culture that existed, and we don't know anything about them other than the fact that they have these gigantic stone sculptures that have African faces.
Well, like again, just go to, if you can pull up the ocean currents. If you pull up,
I've seen that.
You've seen that, man.
Well, do you know who Graham Hancock is?
I've heard about him. Yeah,
you read his stuff. It's really fascinating because he's all.
Let's go to that next video. We've got pretty much all the meat. We're gonna get off to this because it is. But what we want to show our people is that this is a common thought. We've got a lot of our people that, you know, we understand that we're oppressed, right? But the scriptures say oppression make a wise man mad, right? And you're gonna fight that oppression. Now we can't pick up guns and go fight it that way. But we got to fight it. Now, let's just go straight into the next video. We got to fight that oppression by turning back to the laws of God, because we got to understand, how did we come up under this oppression in the first place? You know, and the like I said before, the brother, he was very firm in his understanding about the things that he read, that he believes. But that right there, and Officer Daniel, that was on point what you brought out. That brother don't want to believe that thing. He don't want to remember what happened to his people. All right, yeah, go ahead and play that. Go ahead and play that right there. Yeah. So this is a prelude to the next video right here. Go ahead.
These leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community, and have been made celebrities, and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. And it is an honor, actually.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
What Brother Malcolm said. Hey, remember how much backlash? Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger? Remember when he became the governor of California? He said, how you want to have an actor over California? That's stupid. Like, he's just an actor, right? But when we see our people, we see our people in the forefront trying to lead us to salvation. And we don't see anything like, this is not the right person for the job. We don't see anything wrong, especially when they have no foundation.
When the other nations see stuff like that, they think about their children. They think about, no, you can't do that. You can't play that position. We would never see
That's
you as
right.
a president. Only thing we see you as Terminator. That's it.
Right.
Nothing else. But when we see it, we say, okay, he has money. So I listen to him speak because he's successful. He's a rapper. I can listen to him. He has money. Look at the stuff that he has. We think about the now. So we look at these people as role models because of what they have. When the other nations see it, they say, you know what? No, that's going to affect my children. I don't want you as a leader. I don't see you as a leader. You are an actor. You can't be a president. We can't see you as that. We look at the success and they look at the effects, what's going to happen to their children. We think two different ways.
For real. The other part to it is all our leaders stay getting gunned down. So what are we left with? You know?
Right.
That's what we left with.
Very true.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning. I'll just go back to where they did the announcing of the cast. I'll put it that way. I think it was the cast. All right, because this is just like entertainment. Go ahead.
Come up. That means clap.
So these are your leaders.
Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
These are your leaders, Israel.
All right, y'all, we're going to get right into this.
They're not.
So what I'd love for each of you to do in less than 60 seconds is state what you think is the single most important issue facing us in this presidential election. Single most important issue facing us in this political election in 60 seconds, and then we're going to open up and really get into this conversation. Steve.
What's happening? I think the most important thing, when I think about young people, when I think about 20, 30 years from now, and when I think about this election, I think about the intersection of climate change and the way that technology is going to change absolutely
Who is this
everything.
brother, real quick?
In our life,
we all know who this is right here. Who is this right here?
Yeah, they got to go back where, so you can segue into that. Go back to the, yeah.
You said the name?
Yeah, they said the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did.
My bad, Israel. That's my fault.
Ms. Owens. And so to do that, we've got an amazing panel of men and women who are going to come out. I want you to give each of them an incredible round of applause. Give it up to my brother, Steve Pargett, Candace Owens, you know T.I., Killer Mike, Katrina Pearson, and Tamika Mallory. Give it up for our panel as they come up. That means clap. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
All right, I want you to scroll ahead. We didn't get the timestamp, but go ahead. Scroll up, because we watched it already. Just keep going. He wasn't talking about nothing. Just keep going past there. Wait a minute. You know what? Go play it right there. Let me see if there's...
I want to acknowledge that this room feels like the cookout, and I feel super comfortable right now.
Stay
This
there.
is dope. For real. Mike was talking about the potato salad. That's what we're about to cook up right now, right? So I'm a member of a team, and Trap the Vote is about civic engagement. It's about political participation. It's about making sure that young people vote. We talk about youth of culture. When we think about the culture today, the most powerful culture on the planet, hip-hop culture, black culture that's at the center of it, and every other race of people and young people that are bought into that. When we talk about the fear of gods that that Jerry Lorenzo drops, and all the white kids get them, and all the black kids wanted them, and we're all a part of the same streams on our Instagram timelines.
All right.
This
Pause
is
it right
globally
there.
powerful.
Pause it right there, because for time constraints, I want to point out a couple of things Cap was pointing out earlier. The necklaces that are being worn by Killer Mike and T.I. Because go back to when T.I. start talking. Did we watch that much of it? Go ahead. All right, let it play there. I want you to try to get a good image of the necklace and then pause it. Go ahead.
Homes has normally been the places where gentrification starts first.
Okay, so that was my point. I had a question for both of you young ladies, and you.
All right, stop. Hold on. Hey, Cap, you gonna address that thing?
Oh, you talking about this?
Yeah.
This necklace he got on. So this necklace that he has on now, mind you, sister posted it. You hit it right on the head, sis. They'll never post something positive. So again, just like what we heard from the clip, the small clip where we heard Malcolm X speak on, people like this are set up. They're entertainers. They're set up. They're not real leaders. They're puppets. So mind you, the truth is going to be blackballed because we already know prophecy that the woman, her job, the serpent's job, is to cast out flood to destroy the woman. So they'll never give us a platform to speak truth because we'll elevate. We'll grow from it, and we'll start to take back, what is ours. In a sense, we'll start to come back to who we are. We'll start back to honor our God and be our own. So they'll never give us a platform to discuss real black issues with solutions. So all of this is just a game. So don't get fooled by the hype because you see people like T.I. come on a platform and talk about black issues. We seen many people do it before, and they didn't change anything. So they'll never give us a platform to talk about truth. It's sponsored by AT&T.
That's right.
Big major company. It's sponsored by AT&T. They'll never let you get on TV and talk about black issues with real issues, with real solutions. So look what he has on his neck. And in the conversation, you'll hear T.I. talks about we gotta come back to our culture and we gotta get our money right. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he talks about money. Money is our power. We gotta come back to our culture and we gotta come back to the money. So him talking about culture has nothing to do with what he has around his neck. When you look at this necklace or this medallion he has on his necklace, it's in Middle Eastern symbol. I forget, I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's a hasma. What's the name of it? Can you post the image of that, please? Post the image of what he has on earlier. We looked it up. It was the image of the upside down. I forget the. You got it? Post that image real quick. How you pronounce the name of it? Hamsa. So this is a charm, which is I guess it's an amulet which they believe that this will bring the people that wear it protection, good luck, and it's about world peace. It's supposed to symbolize all of that in one. But this is a Hindu type of belief. This is a Middle Eastern belief. It's all idols. But this is what T.I. has around his neck. So what are we supposed to be coming back to? He's supposed to be a positive image. What is he trying to bring us under the umbrella of what? Being a Hindu, worshiping other gods? Because looking at the actions of T.I., he got a song with Young Thug talking about it's all about the money. I don't want to hear nothing if it ain't about the money. And then you get on a platform talk about black issues. But then when people listen to your song, it's all about the money, I don't want to hear nothing. Then we make it all about the money and don't care about each other. We kill each other because it's all about the money. Women deal with these men because it's all about the money. He's a person that's speaking with two different tongues. He has a forked tongue. He doesn't believe in what he's teaching. This is all propaganda. It's all about money.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. I wish they had went back to the image a while ago. One image of that hand had what some of our people they believe is the Star of David, the Star of Molech. The other one in the fingertip, it had the crescent moon in it.
Mm-hmm. It's all idolatry. It's all idolatry.
Kevin, do you mind? Can I get a scripture? Matthew 19:18.
Bring it out.
Because you see, they have these people they set up as our leaders of the community, right? In general. But they're all against each other. Democrat, one's Republican. We should do this, we should do that, right? But none of them have a solution of which one of them actually going to the community and telling them stop killing, stop murdering, marry that sister. Which one of them are doing? Stop selling drugs to our people. Let's see what Christ said. Matthew 19, verse 18.
The book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 18. He said unto him, which, Jesus said,
Jesus said what?
Which, Jesus said, thou shalt do no murder.
Thou shalt do what?
Thou shalt do no murder.
When is T.I. going to go out there to the neighborhood and tell his people don't do no murder? Because voting obviously hasn't done nothing for us. Malcolm X, when he played that video, was saying, these people, they're puppets. They ain't doing nothing for the community. They doing these things. They basically dancing for the slave master.
Right.
They said they haven't done nothing. Which one is going to go out there to the community and say, don't do this? What's the other brother that's up there on stage? Killer Mike. When is he going to go out there and tell his people to stop stealing, stop robbing? Like while they're up there shaking hands and patting each other on the back, what are they doing to get their people out of their oppression? Read it again.
And he said unto him, which, Jesus said, thou shalt do no murder.
Thou shalt not murder. Read.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not commit adultery, where you married and you sleeping outside your marriage. Read.
Thou shalt not steal.
Thou shalt not what?
Thou shalt not steal.
Read on.
Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Because guess what? If you these things are the things that are getting us murdered, putting us in jail, getting us arrested, because we have malice and hatred towards our own brother. These are the things that are keeping us from going forward. Read on.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Honor your father and mother. These are basic commandments for how to uplift your community. Read.
And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
These are the things they should be up there on that platform teaching.
Right.
Teaching their people to do. Because they have the platform, they just using it in the wrong way.
Praise.
And we watched this video before. What you have up there, T.I., you got Killer Mike, you got the angry single black mother. You got Candace Owens that's speaking black, but she's married to a white man. So again, it's like we understand that we under oppression, but we don't know how to unite. And that's the key. We don't know how to unite. We don't know who we are. Like the brother said in the other video.
Bring it out.
What's that endeavoring to keep the union? Ephesians. Ephesians. We have to learn how to unite with each other. And that unity, we have to have the same mind. We have to be in agreement.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to bring us together in agreement is God's commandments, because no other solution is going to get us out of the problem, because it wasn't any of those other solutions outside of sin that got us in the condition that we're in. So you can't pay your way out of sin by getting a contract with AT&T.
Right.
We gotta repent from our sins. Get that in Ephesians 4.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 3. Endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is.
Go ahead, read on.
There is one body.
One body.
And one Spirit. Even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. One Lord.
One Lord.
One faith.
One faith.
One baptism.
So now, why we got brothers sporting different gods around their necks?
Oh, we ain't discussed the other one yet.
No, we ain't discussed. I was waiting for you to bring that one out. Sporting different gods around their neck, right? You got the angry black single black mama who took shots at them.
Yeah.
You know, basically just basically said the black man ain't nothing right now. And like I said, you got the sister that's coming with political solutions because she's representing Trump and the Republicans, and she's going into all the destruction under the Democrats. But yes, she don't even marry nobody look like her. You know, so it's nothing different than any other of these money grabbing ploys. You get a whole bunch of young people. You charge them some money to come see you and hear and get them excited. Same thing happened when Obama was running. Get them excited, right? They're making money and no solutions.
It's the same thing that we experienced down here when we went to the meeting.
Yeah.
And they was collecting money.
Yeah.
To go to
Worshiping
Africa.
the woman.
Yeah, collecting money to go to Africa. And,
right.
And then we asked people that was come out of there, so what'd you get out of it? It's like, well, they ain't tell us nothing. Well, I forget the conversation. Somebody talked with the brother like, they ain't give us no solution.
They ain't give us no solution.
But they was collecting money. I think they said send $500 or something like that.
Right.
Collecting money. It's like, for us to get to this point in time where we're oppressed and you make money off of, we have really given up on ourselves.
Right.
We don't really see us coming out of this condition. It's like, oh, well,
right.
we're going to be stuck in this. Might as well make a living off of it. Can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, Queen Mother Goddess of Orlando ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Bruh. Hey, they responded like how we was talking about the other day, the Taskmasters.
Yeah.
When they realized what it was going to cost to come up out of oppression, all of a sudden they was pissed at Moses.
Right.
And he after coming out of Willis, they mad as hell. Like, yo, I can't believe I gave all this up for this, man.
Right.
They don't care about their people. They cared about their status.
Bring it out.
Right.
Because like you was bringing out, Cap. I was trying to look it up, but that's information I know they're going to hold back. How much they got paid for this?
I ain't no telling.
Because they got
They'll do nothing for free.
AT&T in the back. They got paid for this,
of course. Right.
And they sit up here making a spectacle of themselves. They cussing and arguing, no solutions whatsoever.
Right.
And I hate to say this, but the angry black mother, right, and the other sister actually said things that were more pertinent than these two brothers.
They did.
Killer Mike just sat up here and basically, go ahead, black woman, lead the way.
Right.
Yeah. Lead the way.
And it was probably set up for that to happen.
Yeah, and T.I. avoided the obvious because his issue with her was, which the vision again was, oh, but you siding with Trump. But then turned around and said Trump benefited him because he's rich, disconnected. He's above his people. He never said, let me teach my people how to get the benefits that Trump is giving out that I know how to reap. He never said that.
He said it. He said, I think he said, you think I'm going to support something that I'm not benefiting from?
Exactly.
He said that.
Exactly.
I think he slipped.
But
I
I
think
mean,
he said that.
Right, yeah, on this.
I mean, as far as teach the rest of us how to get those benefits, because he said he understood those benefits only apply to a certain class. So teach them how to get into that class. Then, not just sister, you're voting for the white man, white supremacy, but you supporting it.
Hey, he already told you if it ain't about the money, I don't want to hear nothing. He already said it. That's T.I. That's the rubber band man. That's who we want as a leader.
When I see that AT&T, this would come to mind. Give me Lamentations 4:17. This would come to mind.
Rubber band man as a leader. That's who we want.
Yeah.
Trap music. That's who we want as a leader.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes have, as for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help.
For what?
For our vain help.
Our vain help. Go ahead.
In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
For a nation that what?
That could not save us.
That cannot save us. You think AT&T is going to support the black man coming together and rising up so that we can have our own AT&T and don't need him?
Right.
You know, that's like when we hear brothers say, we need to take up arms. Okay, and what you going to do when you run out of bullets, brother?
Right.
Go to the white man and say, please, Mr. White Man, give me some more bullets so I can shoot you. It's not set up like that.
Right.
We have to repent as a nation of people and keep God's commandments.
Right.
Message.
Okay, we're going to discuss this other medallion. Okay, plays for the rest of the video.
I fuck with you. If I don't, I'm gonna go quiet as your wife.
Okay, watch some of the language. Watch some of the language.
Candace.
Same thing on
This is
on
another
the other
rapper by
side.
the
How
name
are
of
we
Killer Mike.
negotiating? What is
Killer.
negotiation
Hold up, pause.
tactics?
Right.
His name is Killer Mike. You can play it.
So that we're not acquiescing to somebody else's agenda, but being clear about ours in the process of giving them our support.
Well, I would say the first thing is that it's important to identify what our agenda actually is. And I think that the most important thing for people in this room to understand is that there is a very small window. Right now, the black vote is the most important vote in the country. There's a very small window before our vote's not going to matter. These conferences won't matter, and us sitting here won't matter. Because illegal immigration, if you're looking at the numbers, every new birth in this country, 60% of all new births are Hispanic Americans, and the Democrats are about. Listen. You're saying, let me get to the point. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. I say illegal is the new black because it's true, and there's a reason why they're advocating for open borders. Right now, our vote means a lot, but new births of black Americans have stagnated. The population growth within black America has stagnated. So the things that I pay attention to are the numbers. I pay attention to the birth rates in this country, which is why I'm pro putting something down to stop illegal immigration. The second thing that I think is really important.
We ain't got long, but she talk black, sleep white. But going back to Killer Mike, what he has on his neck is a image. If you can zoom in, if you can possibly go back to it. This image that he has on his neck, not only that T.I. has, how you pronounce it again? What's it? That Middle Eastern?
The
Hamsa.
The hamster.
Which is a charm to bring good luck, good fortune. He has on his neck Poseidon. Okay, Poseidon is a Greek god.
Bruh.
A Greek god holding the head of Medusa. You can keep that where it's at and get the image of Poseidon holding the head of Medusa. Now this could be nothing. This could be far-fetched what we're saying, but I find it kind of odd that they both promoting two different religions on their neck. What makes you go buy? I want to go get a Poseidon necklace, man. I was just thinking about it. No, you know Poseidon holding the head of Medusa. I think that'll look dope. I'm just wear it. Who goes and buy a charm like that? To me, this whole stage was set up. This whole thing was set up.
Right. And look at the size of that thing, man. It ain't small. It ain't
It's a
cheap.
statement.
Nothing.
It's a statement.
Exactly.
Confused.
Exactly. Well, it was one of the rapper. What that? The rapper in Atlanta years ago. He had a song talking about the medallion on his neck looked like a midget.
Yeah.
On his neck.
I'm telling you, this stuff is. But this is the image. This is what he has on his neck. This is another god.
Right.
Poseidon holding the head of Medusa. So this is going back to, like I said, we could be reaching. That's what we could be. Right. We could be reaching. But I find it odd that they come on AT&T sponsored network channel and talk about black issues, and they all are in disarray, just amongst in their beliefs. They in shambles.
Right.
This makes us look
Bring it
bad
out.
altogether. And then you have this other one, Steve Pargrit. He's in support of the fake Jews in Israel, as the site I'm reading says. So it's just it's a bunch of confusion. And then you got another sister up there that hate all three of them, talking about them basically saying, "Ain't none of y'all men no good. What about black women?" So that whole thing is mockery. Where we look at it and say, you know what, they're discussing black issues. You got to look behind that stuff. You got to look behind the fluff.
Hey, the two sisters was against each other because remember the one Candace Owens, she said, "I'm not with the feminism thing." So you got one sister that's promoting feminism. She like, "I ain't with that." So nobody on the panel agrees with each other.
Right. And they had so much confusion that even the crowd was getting uproar. And then Killer Mike, he was saying, "Y'all need to shut the F up." It shows you that just viewing this, we don't know what to do.
Right.
The people up there discussing don't know what to say. They don't know how to agree. And the people in the crowd, they can't agree, and they won't accept what they're listening to because it's confusion.
Yep.
And then the co-host got up there and said, "We ain't finna do this up here. Y'all can take that S somewhere else." Everybody's in confusion.
That's why we just read in Ephesians, endeavoring to keep the unity. Part of that is having one faith, one belief system. If you don't believe the same thing, you can't endeavor to keep unity.
Brother, the Chinese believe in Buddha.
Right.
Islamic people, they believe in Allah.
Right.
Right.
The give me some other ones. The
Arab.
Hinduism,
Yeah,
they
Hindu.
believe in Krishna, right?
Yep. Yep.
Why? And Europeans, they believe in They believe in all this
Yeah.
Greek philosophy.
East
They believe in it.
Indians like Zoroaster and
Right.
They
all
got
these
one
different
God. They
religions.
believe that stuff.
Right. Right.
Why can't we find one God? We believe in everything that they keep.
Mm.
Why can't we agree on one God, the God that created us?
Hmm.
Why are we scattered? We don't ask these questions.
Well, first we got to agree on one name.
Exactly.
Hence the
Right.
title.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
All praises.
What wish we had more time, but we pray you got something out of the show. Today was a discussion. We're showing you just that there's a lot of work we got to do. There's a bunch of confusion within our nation, and this is why we teach on the street, and this is why the gospel must go out, and this is why we can't ignore stuff like this, because it affects us. You know, this stuff is really, it affects us, because when you see articles like this brother getting stabbed and 50 people watching him, and people just recording it, somebody got to talk about this type of stuff. Somebody got to do something about it.
Bring it
And
out.
the rappers that are coming up there, why didn't discuss stuff like that? Why they ain't say nothing about that? Why they ain't say nothing about the woman getting shot 4 times in her vagina? Why they ain't speaking about that stuff? This is like, why are you not discussing these real issues? Why are you not visiting Detroit? Why are you not visiting the places like wherever this happened with this young man? Where's your face, other than being on an AT&T main show so everybody can see your jewelry and you can talk about black issues? It's all a show. Right. Paid actors. So, yeah, absolutely. The march we did in Chicago against violence, we traveled there to do that. So, but hey, we're going to end the show with that. Again, we pray you got something out of it. You tuned in to the Lionz Den radio show. Will be up not next week. Next week is the Feast of Tabernacles, so we'll be up. Not even the following week after that. So y'all stay in tune. We have other shows besides that comes up before we do. So you can tune into those. We actually fall in as the sun is going down. So we would roll into the feast. So our show would not be on, but there will be others. We have Ravening Wolf, Patient Saints. What else we got? Well, on Thursdays we have FCNN. So you can tune into different shows. We have classes 7 days a week, 3 times a day. Visit the site. We have classes on every topic you can think of. So support us, Israel. IsraelUnite.org. You can send your support, your donations there, whatever. If you like what you're seeing, you like the support that we're giving to our people, help us get the word out. Do your due diligence and serve the Most High, and you do the work also. All right. With that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
In Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.